call the Funds and Finance Committee meeting to order at 6 o'clock. We'll do call attendance, please.
Carol Mizek is here.
Carol Haas is present.
Mary Jane Churchville here.
Hayes here. Not sure if he maybe gets stuck on the road. There was some traffic at 185. Some accidents. And Sam's on the road, but with 4 we do have a quorum, so we can continue. The meeting is being recorded. It will be played live on Channel 9 and replayed on Channel 9 and uploaded to the YouTube channel for viewing on demand. At this point, I have no addition. We probably have a deletion. The water department will not be coming in. Yes, before we go, Dave, we did attendance just before you walked in.
Oh,
so you're here.
Dave Walker here.
Thank you. Okay, all right, that's 5. Finance committee. So, with that, we are ready to start meeting with the Selectboard.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Schifrin, and I'm going to call the joint meeting of the Select Board to order. May I have roll call, please?
Veronica Kell present.
And Laura Schifrin present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of our veterans, all of those currently serving, all of our EMS, and all of their families for their sacrifices on our behalf. The meeting is being recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Is anyone else recording the meeting? Can I ask who viewer 220 is? Hartley or Dave, do we know who viewer 220 is? Let it be noted that viewer 220 has not identified themselves. Okay, we are not doing, I don't have any deletions or additions to the meeting today, and we are not doing any minutes. So Don, take it away.
Okay, thank you. The first set of accounts to be looked at today is the highway department. And slide a chair over, just in case at the table. And I know it's a repeat for people here and maybe people listening or watching. 50% of the money is going to be approved this year, and so this is the first time through a budget cycle. So I appreciate you coming in doing it. That's fine. Again, John Hayes, the chair, has been doing this for a few years now. Other members introduced, and this is Jim Smith, Highway Department.
Hi, Jim. I'm new. Mary Jane Churchville.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Carol Hofstas. Carol Mizek is.
David Walker.
Thank you. Great. I know it's one of those where probably Highway Department budget. So if anybody needs to see it, it's up on the screen. If you don't have it in the book.
Do you know the code for it?
The first one is the 421. 421. Thank you. The book come down a little.
Yeah, it's it was the dark blue.
Blue. Or dark, no,
It's
turquoise.
turquoise. And it-
Blue is right behind.
and it's after the cream colored divider that you can't find. So, I like the way you did this with the 4% increase per union contract. That tells us exactly what it is. So we didn't have to ask.
And, yeah, and this is the summary.
Mhm.
I haven't looked at the details here.
I mean, that explains an awful lot without saying anything.
Right.
So continuing ed for the staff. Is that for licensing or is
It
that?
is, so we're doing bucket truck training now, so every few years we gotta get recertified, so that's an additional cost
I see.
that we require, yes.
That's pretty cool.
We need to hire a lot of people to do with the storm. or-
We've tried,
Oh, that's in-
nobody wants to do that type of work,
It's been tough.
Won't we drive the trucks and plow?
they don't know,
You're kidding.
they'd rather sit home and watch it snow,
Do you wanna learn?
but it's like that across the entire Commonwealth, you know?
Yeah.
All the cities and towns are in the same situation.
Whatever, we're gonna have to install electricity in our roads.
Yeah.
The next time they're paid.
I was gonna say,
Heated roads,
geothermal roads, things like that would help.
But then we have Unitil, so we'll have to
Oh.
put in
Right.
solar
Solar
panels
panels,
somewhere.
right.
Maybe we could put solar panels in the road, actually, and just have it
Can you?
like that. I don't know.
I've read something about them trying to develop something like that. Where they
Really?
would, yeah,
Geothermal.
solar roads.
Like, you know,
But they
just have like,
solar lights,
I mean,
like
I
when you
have,
drive on the
Yeah,
highway.
No, but I read something, I saw something where they actually, instead of pavement, you put down a solar thing.
Oh, that's a great idea.
it is a
In New
great
England.
I
idea.
can imagine the cost of that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I would
then
get that
the
in my
maintenance
driveway.
is, I mean,
Well, would you have, well, you know, one of my neighbors, I mean, he's elderly like me, and he's up on the ladder shoveling the snow off his solar panels.
Oh, you shouldn't have to do that. They should just slide
It
off.
just
Yeah.
slides, unless you have it too flat.
If
Yeah.
you don't
Well,
have it.
I don't know, but he's up there all the time, he makes
I
the
have ground mounts, so they're pretty low,
Yeah.
I just have to clean the bottom
Ours,
off.
Mine
on
just
our
come right
roof,
up.
and that comes right off,
Yeah.
that's right.
Like an avalanche almost.
Yes, exactly, don't be standing there when it comes down.
get very seriously.
So most of these
Right.
items are, level funded,
Mhm.
we were, we had a few increases. We were trying to be as conservative as we could. You'll see the trash removal. I wasn't sure what was, what was going on with the trash. So,
If it's typically part of the Shaw's contract,
Right.
is that where it's
Yeah,
been
so
before?
I wasn't really sure, so I just added what would be if I was to have to
Do it yourself.
do it ourselves.
Yeah, because I think Carla was worried that
Exactly.
it was gonna get put on, the departments would have to pay for it separately. So,
Isn't this the only, I think you're the only one that's out
Yeah,
there.
he's
I don't-
on
I don't
so
think
far,
so.
I
yeah.
added
Yeah,
it just in
so we-
case.
Oh,
Yeah, we
I
should
don't
take
care.
that out.
We can shake,
Oh,
being proactive.
oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
There you go, there's a word. So that's 36,000? Right,
36.
no,
No.
it's 5,000.
it's on the,
Yeah, it's 8327.
Oh, wait,
right,
Yeah,
I don't know if it was clarified, with the new proposal for trash, it would be the charge for currently. Am I correct or not?
for,
Shops,
For-
for picking up all the town's trash.
it was just built into
So
the,
the new coming soon contract, not the previous contracts. in the past.
say that again?
In previous contracts in the past, he didn't charge us to pick up our buildings trash for the town.
well, I think he lumped it all together in the past because it was just like all in contract. So it was unknown how much he would have potentially have, if he had broken down all the costs, maybe we would have had known what the cost to the town was to service all the buildings, but,
Oh, we don't have that broken out?
Well, in the past, no, it was a lump sum, so we didn't know exactly what he would have had charged.
But now he broke it
Yeah,
out.
he said
Correct.
he wasn't charging before.
Right.
But now he's gonna charge.
That's what it said.
Yeah,
So
We
that
changed his mind.
charge gets lumped into what the town pays for
It depends on
trash.
how you- yeah, guys-
And then we have to figure out how we're gonna cover that, because it isn't covered through regular tax collection. So, but I assumed we were going to cover all the buildings. When we covered, it would be distributed amongst all the people in town.
Yeah, instead of each department getting, like a line or an added expense to their budget, I just assumed it would be easier to add it all together and, it's just one line somewhere in the budget. Instead of splitting it, 10, 15, 20 different ways.
What is the amount on that?
let's invoice handling.
$225 a month.
So can we level fund professional services at 5627?
We would be able to, if you're
If you're not
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other increases really are salary and wages due to contractual obligations. The other big increase I threw in there was the pavement management. I'd really like to see it in there.
It should be.
It should be.
But it was the finance committee that said, oh, not unless, so even though it was an annual town meeting article, the finance committee said, only if we have the money.
That's right.
And we're not gonna have the money. I think once in my time as a selectman previously, I think
Once.
It was,
we did 50,000,
Yeah.
and I think that was it.
we had it in the, I don't know if it's in FY '24. It was either in FY '24 or it's in FY '25.
No, it was removed. It was removed every time.
I think it was
It's not,
There was only one, we always were optimistic.
Eric was still here, I think,
it was 24.
it was 25, actually. We had 200 in and they reduced 50,000 for pavement in the August 20th special town meeting.
I'm looking at the 2024 BDA,
BDA.
and
Yeah.
there's one for pavement management for 146,913. So it wasn't.
I think it was,
Well, did they get it?
Did they get it or not?
Oh, no, it's in
Yeah,
here.
They spent
It's in here.
138
Yeah, it's in
in
here.
fiscal '24. And then but it looks like last year there was 0 allocated.
right, and the year, and the,
What is that doing?
Yeah, what is it?
What is it doing?
Yeah.
Sets us behind. What, not
No,
getting the
no,
money?
what is the pavement management? What is that line
Oh,
item?
yes, again, with the new people, they weren't aware of the pavement management.
Yeah, so what was it? 2000,
19,
19,
yeah.
yeah.
It was a 5-year plan that was supposed to be renewed.
yeah.
Soon.
So I don't have all the logistics here, but so much was coming from free cash, so much from
excise.
excise tax.
Yeah,
And after the 5 years, it was supposed to be up to the $500,000 per year. That was gonna be in the pavement management plan
Okay.
per year, that the town would
and that's to do what? Pave roads?
paving,
Mhm.
striping, maintenance.
But there was also associated with that a debt exclusion vote to, for a huge amount of money, 5 million, 10 million. That was supposed to kickstart the program, and that failed at the ballot box.
It was very close. It didn't go that
And,
much.
And unless we have this in place, it really doesn't make any sense to do an override or a debt exclusion, however we want to do it, because every 10 to 20 years, we would have to do that to pave our roads if we aren't putting money away. So the pavement management piece of this was to continue being able to pave the roads continually. But the debt exclusion was an infusion of money to get everything up to where it should be. Then this plan was to keep it going, but we can't even fund it. And sorry, it was the finance committee that said, it was Andrea Wood who made a motion in town meeting not to do it unless only if we were able to do it budget wise. And you were on the committee, I think. And so it's never going to be able to be done budget wise if it's not mandated. And we haven't been able to. We just don't have the funds.
We don't have the.
With the increase in everything, insurance rates, school budget.
Yeah, I just know going forward, the price of asphalt is through the roof. So you're gonna see, if we're solely relying on Chapter 90 money, we're gonna be doing less and less each year.
But I thought Erin told me there was a grant that she applied for paving roads, and the 13 was gonna be done.
Yeah, I applied for that.
Yeah, so you found that grant.
Because
We received that grant
Good, from where?
from MassDOT.
Mass.
So that's, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So Route 13 it's slated to be repaved, FY 26. So
yeah,
come July, we'll be doing a walkthrough with MassDOT and we'll be kicking that project off. That's huge.
it is.
It's huge. I'm not saying that we don't need this, because we do.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
So-
We just haven't been able to
Right.
fund it on any regular basis.
I just had a question. So is Route 13 a state road or not?
No.
No,
It's a state numbered route, town maintained. So, and that's the grant that they offer.
okay,
Their
so
state
this,
route,
the state doesn't maintain it
they do
then.
not, no.
And don't they, I know when we did shared streets and spaces, we wanted to do different things and we have to follow their rules, like around the center of town, as far as distances that you can put a crosswalk from a traffic light and things like
Well,
that.
that might be because of Route 119.
Oh, it could be. Yeah,
That's
maybe that
119,
was
because
it.
that's a state route.
Yeah. And it
Is that a
crosses
state
there.
route?
It
Oh,
is,
yeah.
and that's state maintained.
Okay, because I just said, so when you get this grant to do 13,
Yep.
is that gonna include the striping? Because I go to Fitchburg all the time at night with my granddaughter, and in Lunenburg, I can see the road. I hit the town line, and there's no
We actually
line.
striped it, believe it or not, last year. We had it striped. It was
Really?
$12,000 to stripe that. from
And
one
it's
end to the
like,
other.
you can't even see the striping,
Yeah, well, it's in desperate need of
because
asphalt
Lunenburg,
repairs and shoulder
when I
work
go
and
up that
drainage
way,
and-
I can actually see the road, and it's really hard to.
Yeah. I have a list of roads that are gonna be getting striped this year, so.
But that helps driving at night.
Yeah.
For us, for
Oh.
me.
I'm right there with you.
Is the striping a separate line in here or not?
It is not.
That's just part of pavement management?
That would come from the pavement management.
Okay.
Crack sealing.
So if we had no funds allocated to that for this fiscal year, so that means you're not doing anything for this fiscal year?
I would solely have to rely on Chapter 90 funds.
Okay, and that comes from the state?
Correct.
And they're not reflected in the omnibus budget at
And-
all.
Last year, the price of the asphalt
Right,
went through the roof.
yeah.
So,
And so do you apply for these Chapter 90 funds every year then? Is that how that,
yeah, we get them each year. Yeah.
is that based like on a
So
statewide
it's
formula?
roughly like 400,000.
So it's kind of saying like the schools, have they been shorting us on that too?
If you look, do you see chapter 90 money in the cherry sheets? I think you do.
No,
You see chapter 70 in the
Right,
cherry sheet,
yeah,
but
I
not
don't recall
90.
seeing-
chapter 90 is, it's not in the cherry sheets.
When is it announced what everybody's getting?
Usually in March. So we just received, I'd have to look again, sorry. I think it was 143,000 through a different program.
They do that,
They do that
extra,
extra.
It was like a
Extra,
rural
yeah.
thing.
you know,
It's great. I mean,
not based on the amount of
143,
roads you
don't quote me
have.
that, but
Yeah,
it's roughly that. So, it's a help, it's possible.
Right,
And then sometime March, beginning of April, we'll know what's gonna be allocated for 26.
And it
and
is.
so you said you got 400,000 for 25 from that Chapter 70 or roughly?
Yes, roughly, yep.
Okay.
And it is based on a formula, so, it's not like you apply for it and then they decide to give you whatever. It's based on, several factors, mileage, population, and a few other factors. So everyone gets their share.
Their share, yeah.
So
Yeah.
depending on how many miles of road you have,
Right.
population and other factors, you just get typically whatever amount you get year after year, it increases by a little bit. And that's what Jimmy was saying, sort of the increases year over year is maybe a couple percent. But with inflation the way it is, so
Right.
you're getting less and less done every
Right.
year, unless you supplement it, which something like a program like this is great to keep up with things. So the roads
Right.
aren't like,
So last year, the only paving you did in town was based off of those funds, since we didn't allocate anything.
Correct.
Through the standard budget.
So how long can you sustain that?
Can't,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you drive some other roads, some of them
it
are.
doesn't even put it.
So what kind
It
of?
doesn't even put it in.
Well, I know, but, is there a plan?
Well, this was part of it.
Well, that, yeah, the
But
pavement,
that didn't go well, did it?
That didn't.
So, yeah, because I think the roads should be up there with fire and police.
I
For
believe
safety
so.
factors.
absolutely.
I mean, people
It's
are on that much more than they have house fires.
Everybody uses them.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody uses them.
But then what do you cut?
Well,
What do you take away from services in town?
we're taking an awful lot away from the roads and we have been
But
for
if
a long
we,
time,
if
right?
we say the roads, we must have the roads,
Mhm.
there has to be a trade-off. So what do you take away?
Well, maybe we can negotiate with the other two service places and then maybe we can share
What
our
other two
ideas
service?
for the fire and police. And then we can figure out how we can allocate that money. I just don't get why, I'm worried about the roads. I mean, the Worcester Roads thing that you fixed, thank God, was disastrous. You know
Worcester
that.
Road? Worcester Road?
Yeah, Worcester Road, the corner of the bridge, which wasn't there.
Yeah, we did the guardrail as well.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, nice.
Thank God, yeah, but I mean, there's other roads that are in that's I don't know if you've ever been on it, but that was a death trap,
Yeah, there's quite a few of those.
yeah. And I think we have to address those.
Yeah, going forward, we should really look into some sort of plan.
Well, I
Mhm.
think that this is why we need an override. Because if this is as important as everybody says it is, and if everybody agrees that it needs to be done, then everybody sitting at this table at least should be, voting for an override. Because there is no other way. We cut services somewhere. If we negotiate with police and fire, we are cutting services in those areas.
So I
And
get that.
so, if we take away the library and senior center, the people that use that are going to be incredibly upset. If we take away rec, that's going to be upsetting to people. There is no good place to cut.
I understand that, but it's not in our
It is.
hands. It's in the hands of the voters, not us.
Well, we are voters. It is in our hands. I mean, we should all be saying, yes, we need an override, and this is why. If you want the roads to be as good as they can be, if you want the schools to be as good as they can be, if you want to keep the services that we have, and if the cost of everything is skyrocketing, this is true, and the town has the same issue that everybody at home has. And we can't keep the town going if we, at the service level that it's at, unless everybody kicks more in.
Okay, so if we vote for the override, is that just the school money, or are we voting for an override for something else?
It will be for the town budget. The
Which includes-
schools are the huge increase, but we can't, it will be for everything, because if we don't get the override, it's not like, oh, well, the schools aren't going to get that money. They are. This is how we lost trash. We didn't vote for the override. The schools still had to get their money. That's the way budgeting works in a town. And so where do you get the extra $1 million that the school needs? You get them from the $900,000 trash contract and a little bit of stabilization. And so that's how we funded it last year. So if we want everything, we have to kick in more. or we have to say, well, okay, and it's not the schools that aren't gonna get the money. It's the other services in town, and we don't have anything else to cut, but services.
Do we know how much per taxpayer this increase is gonna be? Do we have any idea?
I was actually looking at that, and DLS has a really, I found out they have a really robust calculator,
Yeah,
and it's specific to Townsend. I'm happy to share the link. It's a state calculator. So let me just pull up Townsend, and I can share with you what that would mean. Because I was sort of trying to do some rough calculations.
Don, if I may, while Nelson is looking for that, because we had asked the same question in select board. But to the comment that, well, not everybody has a house fire or not everybody gets robbed or whatever. So we first go to the largest budgets and ask them to cut. I don't think so. Not everybody uses a senior center. Not everybody uses the library. Not everybody has kids in school.
Right.
We can go on and on to the entire list of what we budget.
Right.
So everyone needs to pay.
Mhm. Right. And that's the piece. If the roads are important to you and we need to fund it above and beyond the chapter 90, we need to continue to do it. When you go back and look at that piece as it was written, it said that, you know, at least 50,000 was going to come from excise tax, and there's no transfer. I mean, excise tax goes into the general budget. There's no transfer over to a specific line. So if we haven't been doing the pieces to manage the budget and follow some of these rules, we got to look at, is there a different way to do it? Is it not? Is there a transfer from general fund to a pavement fund that can be established, so that we're doing it that way?
but that fund, those monies go into the general fund, which fund this budget.
That's right. Yep.
So if we're taking it out, then we need to find 50,000 or, you know, eventually 250,000, which is what was supposed to come out of there over 5 years.
But
it's supposed to be 50, then 100, then 150.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to find the place in this budget where we can eliminate 50,000.
And again, I don't think it's been presented to the town at the annual town meeting when we do the budget or when we do an override that said, these are the things we're not doing that we said we would do, like pavement management. It hasn't been presented in a way that we say we're not doing these things so that the town roads are going to continue to
deteriorate.
That's 100% correct. That was the whole problem last year with the school thing. The town has not been told what they're supposed to be voting on and what their money's going to.
Because most people think the override is just for the schools.
Yeah, it was totally not explained correctly.
But I don't think a lot of people understand that.
We don't
do as a town. The town does not do a good job communicating to the taxpayers what they're actually asking for at these town meetings.
No, that's absolutely true.
It's because a lot of times I go to these meetings and I've got like, what do you really ask?
Right. It's kind of like if we go back to August 20th when we were doing all the move, there was $100,000 extra that was taken from the ambulance fund to fund the schools. And you go up and down that budget. There was the new town administrative budget that was reduced from the prior administrator. There were several other lines that did that. There was about $60,000 of line cuts in there. The police chief put off getting his lease, and we reduced it from 95,000 to 47.5. There were a lot of changes of how we funded the budget last year. When we got the school assessment.
And am I wrong? But wasn't there a handout of that at town meeting? I thought there was.
There was a handout of each one, but there wasn't an overview of this is what we're doing. This is how we're funding the budget.
We talked about this in the Board of Selectmen meeting that
Mhm.
people need to understand on March 10th, which is why Nelson is gonna give us numbers, right, on the override, what it's
Yeah.
gonna cost households. Because people have to know that, and they have to understand how it works. This, the loudest voices are saying double dipping, double dipping. There was no double
Mhm.
dipping. That money had to come from somewhere. And that's where the trash went.
Right.
It went to the schools because we had the override didn't pass. We were still responsible for paying that money in the school budget. And there was nowhere else in the budget to get it. Unless we laid off all of highway, laid off half of the police. What if someone in your house had a heart attack and you had to wait, 30 minutes, maybe an hour for an ambulance to come because the ambulance is taking someone else to the hospital. It's not sustainable at the rate that we're at to keep the services that we have. And yet people will complain if we don't have that services. So hopefully in March, on the 10th, we will do a good enough job of explaining that. But there were handouts at that meeting. It was all spelled out last year.
Yeah, well,
People just don't bother to read.
No, that's exactly true. And people are not readers, and we all at this table know that. They learn by listening and by seeing, and that's what we didn't hear from the selectmen last year. There's no question about it. I don't want to say we were misled.
So, but do we have an estimate for what it will cost at this point? I mean, we're still working on the budget.
I mean,
Right.
all I have
Took a
is,
little-
I have general numbers on the school side, what the deficit would be. And it's I think the article that we're gonna put forth is, let's see the numbers.
So just to clarify this, 5 years ago, you made a plan and it was never followed?
It was actually about 7 years ago.
Yeah,
It was before I was a select,
So
maybe
it was
2
a
years
plan.
before that.
yeah, I think it might have been a year.
So
Maybe.
how did they come up with a plan that could never be executed?
Well, they were hoping it could be
Right.
executed.
Oh, it's a hope and a prayer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
got it.
yeah, there was plans that if there was money in the budget, but it was never put forward. And the money was
Well,
never
because
available
they were
in the
Had,
budget.
it would have been different if that amendment hadn't been made
Mhm.
to say if it's in the budget. There's no one that it's not required.
Mhm.
And our budget, when it was doable, sounds like in FY '24, there was some extra funds that could go. I know that before that, I think we did 50K one year.
Yeah, I'd have to
A
go
long
back.
time.
It was, I know that we kept saying, we need to put some money in here. We need to put some money in here.
And
But
so
then when,
the money that got put in though, you used that year
Oh,
to
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it don't last long.
so
this kind of begs the question, is there a Townsend 5-year plan, 3-year plan? I mean, that's reasonable, not a hope and a prayer? Is there some?
We have asked for that. We brought it to the selectmen during one of our joint meetings that we are looking for the multiple year. According to the budget policy, it says 5-year.
and we did get a
And so-
community compact grant 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to get ClearGov software, which is budgeting software that would allow us to enter this stuff into it and then project out
Yeah.
based on certain
Right.
parameters.
In the meantime,
And
DOT
for
lets us
whatever
think
reason, it never got implemented. There were supposed to be trainings. January 2023, there's a finance committee meeting where Eric comes in and says, okay, we have the software. It's going to be populated.
That's right.
And then, and there were going to be trainings in the March, April timeframe. I left as a selectman thinking that, okay, we're good. We have this. We got the grant. We got the software. And it never happened.
Do we still have it sitting there, just not being
No,
used?
It was a grant and it's 1 year, and then it's about a $15,000 annual
And
license.
nobody followed up on
Nobody
it.
followed up on it, so we had a grant that we just wasted. That's
We
what I'm
had a
saying.
grant, we got the software.
Yeah,
I
and we
had a
just wasted
login.
it. Okay.
Right, yeah, we
Yeah,
all.
I
we all had a
logged
login.
into it and
Yes.
started
Well,
looking at it.
Yeah, the members at the time. had
We
one.
had to log in.
Mhm.
And we made
Who
sure
does
there were
oversight
several
of these
meetings,
grants
several
so
of our
that we're
meetings, we
not
made sure
losing
everybody walked in.
money or losing whatever?
Well, we
Right.
now
We have a
have
grant
had
coordinator.
a grant coordinator, and we had to fight to get that. Because otherwise there really isn't anybody that does, unless you personally were the one that went and got the grant.
Right.
And so that's why I
Having a grant
feel
writer
it's
is very,
important to
very
have,
important.
yeah, to have a grant person.
She was great too.
Yeah, I agree.
So we just need a more proactive government,
Did she
that's what
leave?
you're saying, yeah.
Well, the problem still comes down to the
Yeah.
state not funding the school.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
right, but
I mean, if they
There's no
fix
question
that.
but that's not gonna get fixed, Dave. Let's
Oh,
be
I know,
honest.
well,
It's gonna
that's why
get
we
worse.
should tell this, that's why we need to tell the school to go to hell.
Well, I
Or
agree
not the school, I mean, the
100%.
state, we need to tell the state to go to hell and tell them we're not doing this stuff.
We
that they
didn't get that
mandated, they're not paying
120.
for it.
Well, I agree 100%.
Well,
they're
that
not
opens
looking
another
outside
can
the
of worms
box.
because it's mandated, so
Yeah.
now the government's involved and they're gonna force you to do it, so you might as well just do it.
But not really, you can resist, I mean,
Well, I'm not gonna suggest that, so if you wanna
No.
tell the school district
I'm not
to do
gonna
that,
suggest
because,
that.
Well,
that
I
opens
mean-
up lawsuits and everything, it's not worth the trouble, whatever,
It's very
whatever
expensive
fight
lawsuits,
that
but,
might be.
so we're gonna get.
Don, if I may, I mean, Representative Scarsdale is working with I think it's all the other regional school districts in reference to this, and they are trying to get meetings and stuff done at the state. So they are working on this. All regional school districts have been cut. Their responsibilities have not been cut, but their funding has been cut. And we can sit around the table all day long. There is nothing we can do about it but have representation go to the state. I would
I
love it
agree
to get
100%.
out of the regional, but we cannot.
But we can because there are rules, we just have to read them and know what they are. But second of all, we can go to the state. And we've asked for the list of those 211 school districts, and we have not been given it yet. Because I think
Margaret is working on that. Representative Scarsdale is working on that with the coalition.
We
It's,
should be able to-
we're part of that effort.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, I
it's a
didn't know
list
that,
online.
because I
Yeah,
asked her and
Yeah, it's a list
she refused to
online,
give it to me,
Yeah.
yeah.
BOS is online.
No, I know
And
that.
it has the regional schools. You can go.
No, I wanna know the 211 that she talks about, that are in the same boat that we're in.
All the regional schools are listed online, just like Don said.
I think if you Google.
Yeah, but are they
Project
all in the
211,
same
you'll
pickle
find
that
it.
we're in?
I believe they're all in the coalition because they're all have been affected.
We can run the list and. if
Yeah,
it's
well, we're
higher
getting
than
off
211,
topic.
Yeah,
Okay.
So the other comment I wanted to make was in reference to,
This poor guy sitting here listening to us.
Yeah, the question was, what's the number for an override?
Yeah.
Right, that's
And
where we were.
So the only override number I have right now is related to the North Middlesex district because they have a number that they've presented. It's above and beyond what we can afford. And, I'm working on the warrant articles as we speak. And the one for the school override, the number I have at the moment is 941,730.
What is that?
oh, that's better
represent?
than I thought it would be.
$971.30.
$941,730.
For the schools.
It's less than $1 million. I
Less
thought
than
it
$1
would be
million, yeah.
1.2
So that's
over the 2.5% or 2% or whatever we told
Yeah,
you.
we-
to put in there.
you had suggested 2%, but
Right.
then
Yeah.
I kept thinking about it.
You're not gonna
It's
find
always
out.
been Prop 2.5, so to use 2% as the base probably didn't make a lot of sense, so I just ended up using 2.5.
2.5, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
So,
where we
so
saw
this
it.
number
Yeah.
that I just quoted you is for the North Middlesex Regional School District, above and beyond their FY 25 plus 2.5%.
And what do you do? Divide that by what, 3,600 households
So-
or something?
So
Yeah.
with DLS, so this is just an average, because it's looking at, the average
Mhm.
single
Yeah,
family
we're not gonna
assessment.
hold you to the figure.
This amount will increase your taxes by $272.45.
And that's just the school
That's just the
year.
school, that's not the town.
Correct.
Well, the town is kind of, where, everybody's kind of fitting in where
So
it
talking-
would be with the level funding of the expense side. And with the 4% on the other side, it's close, but the insurance messes us up.
Yeah, the insurance is,
So you're talking about a $500 increase in taxes over the next year?
I don't know about that. I haven't figured out
That's how I
what the
heard
rest would be, but I'm just saying the schools alone is 272.
So it's 3, and then you're saying another 2 for the town, so it's 5, yeah.
Well, I don't know how much it is for the
No.
township.
Right, I mean,
The
it
school
depends on what
budget-
to include in
The
there.
school budget is a large percent of the total budget. It's like 55 to 60%.
Yes, it is.
So, so the town running the highway, police, fire, everything else, library.
Remember the pie chart they showed
Yeah,
the other day?
it's a much smaller amount. So it's not gonna be equivalent to that.
Oh, it's about 20% more. Or less,
Probably about that,
25,
yeah.
20,
I mean, it's not
25%.
gonna be,
Okay.
So put that,
it
do
is-
that math, more or less.
Mm,
So it's another-
I would hold on, it depends on what the trash contract is gonna be. If it's 250,000 for pavement, and it's 350 or 400,000 for, the trash, the gap in the trash between what the revenue is and there. It's kind of like, you are coming up to a number that's approaching the 941.
yeah.
And the vote is down overall, but that's because we have less. I haven't looked to
I
see
am
what
like,
they are.
another $70, but that doesn't take it, so if I did a quick math, if my math, so it comes out to maybe an increase of about 350.
Yeah, but you can never, you gotta go higher than, because everything.
And then that doesn't even
It's
take
kinda-
into effect how much the CPA tax is gonna be.
Those are gonna be minimal. Those will be
Yeah, but
minimal.
on top of, add becomes a number.
That's the thing, it's kind of like, it's a little too early, and I'm gonna,
Right.
But, I mean,
it's, those are subjects we have to hit, but we have Jim here.
No, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and I'm glad that,
Yeah, so Jim, I wanted to go back to, the detail sheet on expenses. It says streetlights, usually streetlights have been a separate number, so this is on the detail sheet. You have energy and then streetlights.
$17,000 for streetlights.
Right. It
It's the same, it's level funded.
is, but usually streetlights is in
It's
its own.
separate.
It's a separate, yeah, it's 424.
Oh, it's
Oh,
a
it's
separate
different.
code?
It's always been separate. It's
Yeah.
the streetlights like at the bridge,
Mhm.
the flashing lights on Northern Road, it's not the district.
So it's level funded, it will be level funded, but it's not in the highway department. It'll be broken out into there when we get to the omnibus. It's
Oh,
in the-
so streetlights should come out of here?
Streetlights would come out of there. Let me see where the streetlights is. I'm gonna jump over to the
They're
video.
under 400.
424.
Okay.
The highway energy streetlights.
It's 420,
424.
424?
Building maintenance.
So that's for like the lights, the stop lights and stuff.
Well,
Not the
Not the
stop.
stoplights.
Not the
So like
stoplights.
the lights at the bridge, down in the harbor.
If there's one at the
Yeah.
top of your street,
Yeah.
you know, they're
The
around.
common, in the
It's North
common,
End Road, there's the flashing.
Oh, the flashing light at North End Road,
Yeah.
yeah.
how about the one, not the ones on the common?
The ones on the, not those little lamp posts.
No, I don't believe
Yeah.
so.
Those I think are under,
That might be on the.
Rogers,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so the traffic lights are not part of that.
no, it's strictly the streetlights, but it does have its own department.
So I guess there's, go ahead.
And then I was just gonna say the snow and ice is.
Yeah, that's, post 23, yeah, that's something,
Right, and that's the one that we're allowed to deficit spend if we need, like, I would imagine
Like
this year
this
we're
year.
getting close to
Yeah,
that.
wow, yeah.
Yes. So I've already ordered as much salt this year as I did for the entire season last
Right.
year.
Right,
So we'll be a little over
yeah,
than what we were last year, but we've had much more of a winter.
yeah, oh, no, right, absolutely, yeah,
About
A lot of
where,
ice storms this year.
yeah. Oh, I
about
still have
where,
an inch, good 2 inches of ice on my driveway.
Oh, mine's
Yeah, I do too.
terrible. Oh, my stuff is awful.
about where are we with snow and ice?
I think we're roughly 150,
Total for the year?
no deficit.
In deficit, but I mean for special town meeting, the article, right? If we
Yes,
were
but that's gonna go up
to
considerably because I just ordered salt.
pay, so when you say considerably, do you mean double?
Probably another, maybe 60,000.
Okay.
At the end of December, it was
Yeah.
minus 69.
I like to
No,
keep the
but-
numbers low.
No, the estimates I had in my head for it
Oh.
are,
Well,
Oh,
that's-
exactly.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, what
The
it is,
details- the details matter.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we're asking everybody to do.
And clothing allowance, $1,000, is that because you have to wear those lit up things? Coats?
So we have, ANSI, so you have to wear special vests and such. Is that
Oh,
The reflective
the
stripes.
reflective,
Yeah, and but the other,
which one you on?
Which sheet here, where did you find that?
but we're on the clothing under Wayne Thomas, so I'm just curious, it's $1,000.
Oh, yeah, each one of the employees gets a clothing allowance.
Right, but I think that I understand it for the highway department at 1,000, I can get that, but the 850 for some of the other people that don't stand in the middle of the road in the middle of the night, I don't get, but I'm working on it, trying to understand.
So that would be, I guess that would be me.
is that
Yeah.
union negotiated for the 1,000?
No, I
It is.
get how.
That's all contractual.
Right,
Right.
well, that's the thing, it's kind of like, and I think that's the difference, the other departments that have negotiated 850.
Right.
And so we're seeing the 1,000. Being different again, it's a little higher, but they've got.
No, I have no
Which line
complaints
are
with
you at?
1,000, because I
You know how
get
much?
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
which
I
line
mean,
are
boots
you
at
on?
$300.
I'm on
She was just looking at
people,
the,
like, say, Wayne Thomas.
the labor
Oh,
sheet.
the individual.
Yeah, she's just looking at all the individuals.
Right.
Yeah, that all depends on the union that they're in.
Right,
This
get
is the highway water union,
that's negotiations, right, that's negotiation.
correct?
So I do have a question about that big truck we saw at your garage. So how many more years is that gonna last?
Which big truck?
That big
The
one,
orange
big
one's all rusty.
Well,
How old is that truck?
well, we got three older trucks. So I think one's a 2001, one's an 03. Yeah. And the other one might be a 2006 maybe. One's like 23 years old.
Mm.
One will be 19 when we go to replace it.
It's a pretty big.
But that's-
shape.
I got numbers on replacing that truck too. I think I had shown you a white one. There was a white
Oh,
one.
it was the other white one, but the
Yeah.
orange one,
This
that
was
big
a
yellow one,
orange
that big,
the guy
big,
was
big
wearing,
gigantic.
flowers are good,
Yeah,
it was huge.
yeah. That's probably our oldest one.
Mhm.
It's the one I get to drive.
So.
Now,
they're not
do we
getting-
ever, you know how the police do the,
We,
what is it, they do
The
the.
capital planning, you mean the leases?
The
for
lease,
fire
yeah.
truck?
So I just got numbers through, the company that they lease them through.
Mhm,
I just got numbers to replace them with one of those big white trucks that you see.
mhm.
So
those,
it was a 5-year lease.
Capital plan.
That's the
Tomorrow.
capital plan. That's right.
So tomorrow, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
yeah, right, yeah.
We'll go over that tomorrow.
Mark sent that out,
Okay.
so it's in your
Yes.
email.
Okay,
Any other questions?
So are we keeping the 250 in, or are we not keeping the 250 in? My vote
like
is
to
to
vote?
keep it in.
I say we keep it in, if it has to come out, it's gonna come out later, but again, if we show that list of, these are the things that we're not able to fund with the operating budget that we have, we needed an override so we can do the roads
Right.
and get the pieces in. And that sort of peak. Now, I also know if it passes, the municipality's empowerment
Right.
is there, and has an opportunity to do a surcharge.
Do they have a date for that vote yet?
They don't, they just reintroduced it again because it didn't pass in the last session. So it's been reintroduced. There's a big breakdown. I think it was MMA or DLS had a breakdown of everything in it. But that one is there if that's.
The two things on there are, the excise tax, increasing the excise tax.
That's surcharge.
And meal tax.
Yeah, right.
Those are the two things that we in town can.
But again, it gets back to the constantly adding new taxes.
Right, it's just somewhere else.
Right.
As opposed to
So
property tax.
Right, so I don't know, like doing the extra surcharge, I just know it's there for the towns.
If it's voted,
If it's voted, it's kind of like, it's not in place and there's nothing we can do right now with it. So we have to prepare the FY 26 budget without it, and saying, this is 250,000 to fix your roads and keep the undercarriages of your cars in order by paving them and keeping.
So let's keep this in and we'll see if the override passes, and if it doesn't, this is what goes out. And that's the only thing we can do.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing we should be doing too, as a finance committee, I don't know about the board of selectmen, but we should be looking at getting together the 5-year plan, because if people know that this reaction thing is not really working for us.
Yeah, putting together a year.
$5 bag, for plastic bag to put your trash is not gonna make up your deficit of whatever it was. And I think we need the 5-year plan so we can let the town know what its projection is.
This is what the projections are.
Yeah, and here's where your money's gonna go.
Because we know next year you're gonna ask for another override, because
Exactly.
it's gonna come in. It's gonna be the schools, and so, it never ends.
Where does it stop, or where does it stabilize? That's the question, and people should know that.
And that's what we're trying to do, put together that picture of multiple years.
And we need to,
project your revenue.
we need to email, we need good solid representation, and we need to, I've been sending letters to the
Let's do
state.
that.
Of course, it
But I
falls
don't
in
know
deaf ears.
How we have to make
I mean, I get nice little automatic reply saying, thank you, thank you.
We can ask them, we've been asking, like we did, it's kind of like maybe we haven't asked him, but he's talked about it's more capital equipment that sounds like you're gonna.
The 5-year, I mean, I had a 5-year pavement plan,
Right.
which roads we were gonna pave.
Right.
And I would just,
You just
that
have to
was
know
some
the
years
rules,
ago, so I just been chipping away at those.
Yeah.
Was it the same time as this?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, he put the nail on the head when he said be proactive. I thought that's a great introduction,
Yeah, that's what we're.
because I don't see that happen. So is that it for this one?
I don't have any other questions. Does anybody have any additional questions?
I guess I do. I guess if we're asking for fire and police to itemize the new equipment, the replacement equipment, professional services, what does that cover? I mean, I saw what went out to police and fire, and these were the same questions. So are we not asking those same questions here? Sorry, but if we're gonna ask them of them, then we should ask them here as well. What buildings, it says aging building repairs will be needed in coming years, and that increased 34%. So why? What was done last year for building maintenance and repair, and what is being done in the future? And that's only because those were the questions that were put out. So if we're gonna ask it of fire.
Oh, because they weren't here, they weren't present.
They weren't present, so they're in the emails.
I get it, okay, I get it, okay.
Because we
she's
had
right,
those
I get it,
questions.
yeah.
And again, the same pieces here, mainly what we're looking for, In the last couple of years, building repairs have come back into the finance committee for reserve fund transfer. And that's really not the use for the reserve fund. For that is supposed to be unforeseen things. So when we have building maintenance and repairs, it's like how much money for the maintenance and is included, how much money is in here for repair. And granted, if everybody's putting in 10, 15, 20,000 for repair, we're going to have a lot of budgets that aren't expended because we didn't anticipate the repairs, right? But it might be the opportunity to combine it and put a separate reserve fund for building repair, so that it is, and you can have multiple reserve funds, and now a building repair fund could still go through the same process of getting approval and paying it. So a little bit of looking at it of how much is maintenance, how much is repairs, so that if we line them up against all the buildings, maybe we do something different. So that's why.
So what is the answer?
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
So aging buildings, is that the one you're in?
Yeah, so just each year we find ourselves going over budget, you know, trying to repair it. You call a plumber or an electrician to come in and do any type of work, you know, $4,000 ain't gonna go far. I mean, we all know that with our houses and such.
Yeah.
So,
If you can even get one.
it's just as the building gets older, you know, the salt shed, you know, this, that, we got two other outbuildings, you know, and just the 4,000 or the 4488 just not working.
So are those like roofs?
Not so much big repairs like that, but, you know, the sink, like the faucet's not working right now, you know, or one of the bathrooms doesn't work, or.
You don't keep up with the small repairs.
It's the minor repairs,
So
but they add up.
here's my question though, how does what buildings does facilities cover versus,
Out of their budget,
what is
I
facility,
do
like
my
if
own.
you do your own?
Rob does help us, not money wise, but like, he helps us get vendors and such, but any of the monies, you know, for paying for those vendors or whatnot, or those services, all comes out of my budget.
Okay, so this is what went out to Chief Shepherd under repair and maintenance buildings. Details of dollars by category and what is maintenance versus repair. So if we're asking that in that detail, professional and technical services, what expenses will be posted in this category? Hazardous
fair.
waste collection. So same questions for
All right, so
all
we
the
can write a letter,
departments
we
then.
can write a letter, I mean, can you write,
Copy those.
well, you can't answer those things right now, can you?
No,
Oh, there you go, so we'll put it in writing,
yeah, and I can prepare something for you.
Yeah.
Certainly.
that works. Is that a problem?
Not a problem for me. I mean, but those are the questions that you guys were
Yeah, yeah,
looking for
Yeah, we
from
do,
fire and police.
right, well, we wanted to know the details from every budget, not just fire and police,
And,
but, yeah,
you know, new equipment, a list of new equipment to be purchased, quotes and estimates, and ensure equipment does not exceed capital planning
Right.
guidelines.
Yeah, and in this case, it won't because there's only 2142 in there. So it's kind of,
Smaller.
Yeah, that is, but
How much where?
there's $2,142 in his new equipment, in Jim's new equipment line. So it's nothing in there will exceed and become capital equipment level.
Under new equipment.
Under new equipment, yeah.
so I guess the question is, are we asking those questions of everybody? Or are we just asking it of fire and police?
We had asked, most everybody, when it comes down to those details, and
Okay,
they were in the room, those, but you're right, we haven't gone into the details here, looking at each of those.
I looked at that list of questions and I thought, okay, it's gonna take a little bit of time
It
to
does,
work that out.
Right.
It's fine.
Mhm.
It's fine.
So
Again,
are you guys asking it of everybody, or are you just asking it of particular people?
No, I think it should be.
I think it's everybody. I don't think it's
It's
particular
everybody.
people.
When we go back and look
Yeah.
at the assessor, there was, every line was identified what was in.
Okay.
What was in it.
It's some of the
Oh, I
same
see it.
categories,
It's
people had different ideas
Okay.
on, what are you gonna put down
The
miscellaneous?
fire.
You know,
Right, right,
miscellaneous
right.
is, yeah.
I think that, well, the police, the issue was that the budget was just, oh, I mean,
Yeah, there was a
No,
lot
no,
of.
no,
no.
you had a couple.
the
of lines
years
that
were all, it was all.
Well, the years are off on pretty much
Yeah, that was
everybody.
pretty confusing. And I thought that the fire was only
Well-
one of the ones that were increased.
So we'll send him the same,
Yeah,
we're gonna
Liz,
email him
yeah.
the same questions.
Right.
And, we covered both aspects of the snow and ice and the highway, so we gonna go home. I mean, I don't think-
Yeah.
I didn't wanna say that.
And when I receive those, I'll get it right back to you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for coming, thank you for showing up. That was
Thanks,
good.
Jimmy.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And we didn't say it in the beginning, it's a good job, even though Monday morning when it was frozen at the end of my driveway, I didn't
I
appreciate it then.
apologize.
No, I know it happens, it's kind of like, but just saying, other than that, it's a good job. It was
Absolutely.
I have solar melting, so it's kind of like I could get out and clean it in the afternoon, I don't have to get up.
Yeah, no, I'll say, I mean,
So,
It's so nice.
the day after I went to the store and the roads were
Fine.
fine.
Oh, the roads
so-
are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the roads are good.
Take it pretty serious.
Yeah, I mean, my driveway was awful, but that's not your fault.
And it's a combination that we see the contractors and the highway department trucks regularly, so I'm right on Ash Street and we're all going up and down.
They worked pretty hard this last storm.
Yeah, they
They had
did.
to work out.
That was a bad storm. I mean, the whole Sunday was nothing but freezing rain.
I didn't go out from Friday on.
Yeah, pretty much.
You did great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Jimmy.
Good night.
Okay. This will work out.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I was gonna say this would be.
Come on up.
You want to be in the hot
Worried
seat?
about this seat over here, I don't know.
It's all warmed up for you.
Yeah, it's talking about a can of worms, right?
This one's at the front.
No, don't tell me, don't tell me.
It goes right, it's in the highway department.
I only
The county?
mine is the
Yes.
same.
It was under the yellow tab. No, I'm sorry, that's not right, that's facilities. I'm wrong, don't listen to me.
It's 135. One of the earlier.
Let's see,
I
which.
have one
Oh,
forty-five.
turquoise,
Turquoise.
first turquoise.
It's accounting, so it's one.
She's
Treasurer,
treasurer and accounting.
Treasurer.
Oh, here we
Yeah.
are, here we are, the very beginning.
Town clerk, I was giving her. Gone.
Yeah.
35.
296. That's a very-
135. Is there another?
45
Where's the front of this thing?
Now, do we still
Yep.
have a contract?
So this would be behind it,
Last year with them.
treasurer collector.
Then there's yellow separator.
For that's ending this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just look for the separator.
It's CBIZ now,
Oh,
but
here it
that
is.
bought out.
135. Oh, CC, oh, okay, so she didn't do what he did about the unions and all that, okay?
This, and then everybody seems to know Katie, I think probably other than Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm Katie, nice to meet you.
Katie is assistant treasurer right now, taking classes.
Accounting, yeah, assistant accountant.
Assistant accountant.
Accountant.
Yeah.
I keep, I,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not a treasurer and I know the
We're doing
difference.
accounting today. Yes, I
Oh.
am
There you
working
go.
towards
Yeah, that's okay.
getting
It's
certified
confusing.
I see.
for the Mass Municipal Accountants.
So how long have you been doing this?
2 years. I started in April of 23. Downstairs in this room.
So you're under
Yeah,
certification.
working on it.
So does your salary line here include?
That's just me.
You're talking the 75,397?
Yeah, because on the BVA, I have a number of 52,837.
And so you're
On
seeing.
the 25, yeah, okay.
That's what came BVA January 2025.
So I had sent over my packet. Did you share that?
I don't know if I put it in the shared folder.
Okay.
This is from the sheriff.
But Katie can explain it. I
Yeah,
think
Right.
I'll try.
There was an amendment to the contract.
There was an amendment to my contract that came through on, I can pull the date for you, it's in my package here. On on June, well, it was for the FY20, the start of FY25. That was the amendment. If you want to just see that, you can pass it around. And so I did a graph so it was more clear. I can photocopy this and you can all have a copy. I think that might be easiest. And so it just did the adjusted budget. So the monies came from the.
Oh, let me get to the detail.
Yep.
One's in expense, one's in labor.
Yeah.
Not that one.
Okay.
The worksheet. I think it'd be clear on the worksheet, Don.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and then just scroll down a little bit so we can see the expenses for the professional service. Oh, they're not broken out on this
They're
one.
not broken out.
Oh, I had sent, once you get a copy, you'll see that one better. Because it has them all together. So the monies came from the consultant services under professional services, what we're paying the consultant. So that went down and I went up because of the
That was
duties.
the way it was supposed to
Yeah, the way it
work
was
when Eric
supposed
set it
to,
up.
yeah,
It was supposed to be like that, but
correct.
I was just wondering.
So that's why and you'll see when we get the copy, it's a lot clearer. You won't see the 52, you'll actually see the 64, so it won't be so much of a jump.
So then did the professional and
It did,
technical
went
services
down.
went down?
Yes.
Okay.
So the overall
understand.
budget didn't change. The
Right.
end number didn't change at the bottom. The bottom.
Oh,
number
just the
never
different,
changed. It just went into
my
different
different
buckets.
pockets.
Oh, wait a minute,
Okay,
okay, I
I get
think
it.
we actually might have.
Oh, do you
your-
have it?
I think I
Oh,
have, we have
yeah,
it in
you
the
do.
back.
Right here.
Yeah. Yep, it looks like. you
After
do.
all after the expense,
Is it right there, Jerry?
after
Oh,
the
I
expense
see.
worksheet.
After expense.
There
There
it
it
is.
is, this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah,
I
this
get
one?
it. Yep,
Okay,
yep,
perfect.
yep, yep.
Okay.
And then it has a little exclamation sort of
Oh, you
next to
did.
it. It was,
Yep, yep,
yeah.
very nice, yeah. So are you a union contractor?
I am not.
You are
No,
not, okay.
no, accounting's not a union.
Not union.
I don't even think it's allowed to
It's
be.
not allowed, no.
There are certain things that can't be in a union.
Oh, so you do not have a clothing allowance.
Where she
I
gets
do
no
not.
clothing.
No clothing.
No.
Checking on that, that's
I
a big
don't.
one for me.
I
Oh,
get
really,
it on me,
really
it's my
big
fault.
one.
Yeah. Okay, good, yes, you have it there.
Yeah.
So,
Place the little picture.
I know.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Sorry, Sabrina, we ended up finding it. Yes, yes, yes.
That's okay. We can write on it.
Yeah, you can use it.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're saying the account professional technical services went from 48 down to 36,
Correct.
and that's what offset the
The,
change in your.
right, so you'll see the two columns are 25 and you just see
Right.
the adjustment, the bottom numbers didn't
Oh,
change.
225.
Again, it's just the
Okay,
buckets that
yeah.
they
Yeah.
are
Right,
from.
right.
Mhm.
Column G
And
is
so
the-
now if we look at the adjusted to the 26 is where you're gonna see the differences.
Right, right.
And do you want me just to jump in there or do you want me to say that?
So the support staff, that's not you, right?
No,
That-
we have an assistant, she's the admin, the administrative assistant, she comes in 2 days a week. And she does all the data entry for the bills. So every invoice that she processes, puts it into the warrant. I review every bill that comes in and she just does the typing for that.
So she's data. entry.
Yep, and her hours, it varies weekly because some weeks we have payroll week and some weeks is just the warrant. Obviously, so it's about 15 hours a week to 16, 17 hours a week, depending on the payroll load or the end of the year, but. She's about 15.
She's been here a while.
She has been here quite a while, yes, 6 years, I
I
think,
think so.
I think I
The whole
collaborated with her.
time.
Yeah, the whole time, from all the changes.
Yes.
Yeah, she's seen many downstairs.
She has.
Yes,
Few
she's,
people come
she's
through.
wonderful.
Good,
She
it's
comes
good.
right in and gets right at it and. And right now we're working on, as you know from the article, we're working on kind of the filing system down there and records and whatnot. So we've been trying to clean up and reorganize and scan in and
The files are,
find things. And
files need to be really clean.
yes, they do. And we're busting at the seams, so.
Because I worked in the land use
Oh,
office
right.
for the senior offset. And
So our files are in the vault up there and it's like coming out
It's
the
like-
door.
You're doing the file organization or.
cleaning
Right.
out,
So,
not even
I have a
organizing.
question.
I was just
So in the
cleaning out.
expenses worksheet, you have a professional services line for 30,000. And then on this sheet, you have the professional and tech services for 30,000. But those are two different, both of those numbers add into your.
They may not be spread
No.
out. So we have a professional and technical service, which would be the consultant, and then there's the audit. So it's professional and technical services, but it's audit. It might have been
Right,
cut
I'm
off
saying,
on
but
the
it's,
sheet.
but it's also in the expenses sheet, worksheet as part of the 64,000 in there.
Okay.
So the audit is 30. And the professional services.
Right. So this just says audit, on the other sheet, it says professional services. Audit.
Right, but the number, I'm just saying, it seems like the number is in there twice.
The audit is going to 30,000.
professional
So line 10.
Do we know that though?
The
Or are we
audit's there.
budgeting
This
that?
is
We're-
the audit, which
that's
is
the
also
budget right now
professional
because-
services, and that's
Well, no,
professional
that would be.
services.
Right, but
Is there a
FY
difference between the
25.
two?
Yes, there is.
But
So
that brings your
25
expense
is-
number to
It's
64,
And then-
30,26.
Okay.
which is what you have
No, you're right.
under
On the-
expenses,
Yeah.
right? But then you have professional technical services and audit, again, for another 30,000.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, they match.
I think you're in there.
We're not in there, Travis.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
there's
it's
two
not.
separate
Two
lines. Two separate
separate.
lines.
Same dollars,
Same
but two
dollars.
separate services.
Right.
Okay, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying
So it
is,
doesn't add up.
are these two numbers in the sum along with this number? Because if all these numbers sum up to that, you're counting those things twice,
Okay. I
right?
think-
Because this number includes
Okay, so
30,000.
Double
that's
check
a,
that.
that's a
I think
sum.
that's
It-
what- that
David,
looks right.
I've got the-
he's showing you the.
Formula?
That's a
Yeah.
formula. So that 65,000 is all of the expenses added up. It is not
Okay.
included.
Okay,
When you look here, it takes the two
Yeah.
subtotals.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, we probably should have taken the expense line, colored it gray to match the other subtotal lines.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
all.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's kind of,
okay.
That answers the question.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
that's all.
Yeah,
That's all.
Let's
It's kind of like,
Yep.
put a color on that
Yeah.
and maybe tab it over so it's a right a line, not a
Yeah.
left. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Got it done.
Yep.
Sorry, I was confused. I'm like,
That's
no,
okay. No,
those are two
that's why I was
separate.
confused. That's why I was asking the question.
I'm like,
It's
oh
kinda
no, that's the total. of
Right.
that column.
And-
Yeah.
and that's why having this live and
Yeah.
see, you
That's
see
great.
what's a formula, what's.
Right, no, that's why having that as a spreadsheet is good because
Yeah.
it's very easy then to for Don to point that out.
Right, and so
Hi, Heidi.
the technical services, again, it's the consultant services. I did go, this is our last year with Markham, who's now CBIZ, was Melanson, they were bought out. This is our last year, FY 25. I did, look into, a few others. Nelson and we kind of talked about a few. No decisions really have made yet formally. I have some inclinations of where I would like to go with that. So that's a roundabout number. That would be the highest number. It's between 25 and 30.
What do
Between the
the professional
Yeah,
and
what
technical
is-
services?
So the consultants, yep. So the consultants currently, hold on, I haven't gone I guess we can pass them, send me copies. So the first column is what is town. That's all the things that I now do and will be doing for 26. And they consult as needed on a few. And then we work together on mostly like the Schedule A, the recap, doing all the end of the year documents with DOR, DLS, and all those. This was my first year seeing them. Last year I never saw it. They just did it behind the scenes. This year I saw it. Have been able to walk through with my handheld a little bit with that. Next year, I assume it will be the same with whomever we use. Closing out the year, definitely need a consultant. Throughout the year, things come up with department questions. I always run that through the consultant. For Mass General Law.
Okay, so they're kind of like,
questions.
you have questions on what the rules are,
Correct.
they're experts on the rules.
Exactly.
Okay.
Moving funds, what's allowed, setting up different funds.
Okay.
They are very valuable for that for me.
Okay.
So, and that's where the changes are happening again,
Right.
because the duties have been coming more onto me and less onto them.
At what point do we not need that consultant? Because I thought when we put just for history for people here, we tried desperately to hire an accountant 5 years ago.
Everybody has.
And it was impossible. We made an offer and the person turned it down, blah, blah, blah. So when Eric came in place, it was his idea to hire Katie and to have her trained as an accountant and to keep Markham, because we were paying like 120 a year for Markham to do our accounting because we didn't have one. So this was the solution. And the idea.
And they were virtual. They're not here. They're just virtual.
Right. And so the idea was to get Katie trained up so that at some point she would take it all on.
Yes.
I can see where it would be good to have someone to call. To bounce things off of.
Right.
But at some point it should be minimal.
Sure. So the proposals that I got for FY26, like I had mentioned, are max would be 30,000. I quoted out a few others that are consultants that can come in person, and they could come in as more frequent or less, and I would probably like maybe twice a week or just maybe a phone call here and there. And they would charge hourly, and they also would have a max cap of about 25,000. In my contract, it states that I have until the end of next FY, my contract ends FY26, I think the end of 26. And it right in there wants me to have my test passed from the Municipal Accountants Association. I plan on going to class this year, maybe sit for the test. I will not pass that test. I have not had a full solid year of the gaps that I need filled with, a liaison or a next, person that I can really get the clarification from. So that's why I was kind of looking into other avenues that we could go for with our accounting services for next year.
So, but we have Markham for FY26.
To the end of 25. They're 25.
The end of FY25. So just until the end of June.
Correct.
We don't have anybody
for FY26. No.
That's what she said. She spit out.
She's got some quotes.
She's got some quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Is that because of your confidence in yourself, or is that because of your requirements, whatever the?
Both. No, just the confidence in myself. I have done all the classes. I could sit for the test tomorrow, in March. It's every once a year. It's in March. You go and you can go for the classes or that you can sit for the test. There's 2 tests. It's the legal part and then there's the accounting side. And it's not what I do day to day. It's subledgers and it's behind the scenes and it's very manual. It's not what the computers do for us automatically. So it's not my day to day because Vadar does that for me. When I enter a new account, it hits all the background accounts because that's how it's set up. So I have to learn that way manually. So I'm learning like a couple different ways to do that,
You have to learn that to take the test or to do your job.
to take the test. I know.
Um,
So it's been
And
really
there, yeah, and there are certain things where you have to have a certified accountant.
some things,
Um, And so.
how many of those things?
of the test.
No, about the items that you need the certified accountant for.
Not sure that.
Oh, okay.
At least the reports for the end of the year and then submitted, is that right?
I've signed off on that.
You have signed off on it, okay.
So, yeah, so
So I
do
did
they
have
have
a big achievement.
tutorials? Do they have, you know how
Oh, of course I can, for learning to do the combined balance sheet, the scheduling,
for the
absolutely.
test?
Oh, for the test.
Yeah.
I did a boot camp. Yep. I worked with a company that offers a boot camp, and it's, going over, it's repetitive. We met 4 times, for a half a day. So, yeah. It's a lot. I don't think 3 years is enough time.
Oh, you mean on the job training?
Correct. I have met others in the classes and in the boot camps that they've been an actual accountant for like 5-10 years, and now they're going.
I see.
Yeah, so it's not something that you need to have walking in the door. It's something that you can work up to, and there's very highly experienced, been doing it for many years and just haven't gone and sat through that, because it's not your day to day. It's not your day.
I
So
totally
let me
understand.
ask you, are you going to take the test?
Yes.
I think you,
Yeah.
I think you could do it.
I
really
know.
do.
I may potentially just take it, and so I can view it, and then my nerves will be a little less the next time, potentially.
Take the test, Katie.
Yeah.
Just take it.
I'll just take
When
it.
you
We're
passed
very
it.
grateful that Katie
We'll have
was
a
willing
party.
to-
I feel really great, but I did have a great achievement this year. I wanted to share. I am a Massachusetts certified public purchasing official. I did get my MCPPO this year. So that was a great achievement. That was a gruesome classwork to do from start to finish. There's 3 sections of it. I know, Nelson, you're familiar with that process.
I've taken it.
Yep, you've done it too. We have like the books and
Oh, yeah, I have them all in my office.
stacks.
And
This was a huge achievement.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a really great asset for our department downstairs. While I don't stand as the chief procurement officer of town, that is Nelson, that's the town administrator, I have a second set of eyes on everything that comes through. So this is really important to us as a town, and it's important to me, and I think this is a great value for that.
Yeah, thank you. Good job.
So you gotta take that test.
One thing.
No, go for it.
That one's done.
I know, I need, as you can just see with me, I just want to know it all before I do it. But yes, Carol, I probably will, but I might not tell you because I'm probably going to
Oh,
fail.
yeah, never
But
tell. Right, don't tell.
but I'll
Don't
find
tell.
out.
But I'll find out.
Exactly. But yeah, just to see it and view it, I really feel like another year under my belt is going to close a lot of gaps that I'm looking at with, like I said, the subsidiary ledgers. That's so again, it's not something I see day to day. So
But even if you did pass it, then you know what it's like.
Yes, and how they haven't changed this test in many years.
The
It's
government
very
never-
manual. It's
The
very old
government, the government never does.
Everyone says they're like, this is so old school. But yeah, the world of accounting has really it's enlightening to me. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, accounting. I don't know why I say I like it. I really do. I enjoy it. I like what I'm learning. It's fun for me. Where a lot of people it really is not fun.
No, accounting is fun.
So yeah, I've been really intrigued by it. So I like a challenge, and so I think it kind of keeps me going on.
So when you pass it and the balance swings, so then we won't have Markham or anyone like, they won't have or we always have a consultant.
if it's me personally, I may still like, I mean, there's boards, there's groups, there's definitely associations that I belong to, the government officials, I do the central mass accountants, and we can all like ask each other questions. So I think maybe once I wean off, in the future, yes, the goal would be not to have a consultant anymore.
Okay, so that's a 5-year plan.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, yeah.
So, because DLS is always there, right?
Exactly.
Right,
DOR is there, DLS
Yeah.
is there. Again, local,
Right.
the accounting world is shrinking. Not to toot a horn or pat myself on the back, but there's not many people going into a municipal accounting. So it's, I don't know if it's a dying thing or if it's because of the test, no one wants to do it. I don't know. So reaching out to other towns, it might be a little difficult, but we do have other resources to do so. Yeah.
So the balance will shift, and then we'll just have
That'll be
you
the
as
plan.
our town accountant.
Sure.
And we don't have to rely on those consulting fees.
Yep, that would be the goal.
Yeah. A 5-year plan.
So do we have an overall percentage for this department?
So the overall budget was up like 7,000.
And so that, what is that?
That's a little more
percent?
than 4%.
Yeah, 4.5.
Correct.
So what brought that up? Oh,
My increase, probably.
Right.
your
yeah,
what?
it's kind
Excuse
of
me?
Her increase in
wages for
salary.
the-
Oh,
But that's offset.
4% salary,
by
isn't that
the-
what people get? Isn't that?
Yeah, I think hers is.
I'm still trying to catch up.
I think hers is a.
So
tad
the
higher.
proposal of the
I think it's a
wages
little
for
higher
myself this
than the
year,
4%.
But it's her salary.
are still
Yeah,
trying to
I'm pretty
catch up to
sure
what
it's her salary.
with the going and the
I thought though that
competitiveness
it
is.
would be balanced out a little bit by
By taking
Markham.
and going.
Yeah.
So I took 18 and I only took 10. So I didn't take it all. I left some in the bucket.
So do I need to show in the,
Yeah, take them out.
yeah, it's kind of like, it's
So
there.
4.
But I thought that
A little more than 4.77%.
well, we dropped the 36 for 6K, so 4.
Right, so like I said, the max that I would go to if I was able to choose maybe the avenue that I was thinking, I would set that budget about 25 for the consultant. And that's why it would,
What, so if we change that, can we do that, Dawn? Can we change the consultancy, the 30 that you have highlighted there?
Yeah.
to 25.
To 25 and see what that does,
And that would change it.
just out
Yeah.
of curiosity.
I'm 24.
That 5,000 took it out, brought it down. to
That makes
154.
a big difference.
It makes a big difference. And I'm gonna, I don't see it, but I see a line for 800. Is Vadar licensing on here somewhere? Who's paying for Vadar?
It's one bill, I believe that goes through the treasurer.
Okay.
That's on the
Because they use
treasurer's.
it too.
Yes, yeah, it's all of the,
Mhm.
this building,
Yeah.
pays, and then water pays their portion.
Okay.
So what did that bring it down to percent-wise?
Percentage is 1.49 of the total budget.
So what's the repair and maintenance, the new line, the new 800?
The new 800.
So that is for, well, for instance, this year I needed to get a special article for a copier printer. That would be, we replaced the rolling mat that had holes, plastic holes all in it. It was deteriorating in the office for the chair on the carpet. It was just a number for just establishing a budget for maintaining.
Okay,
the
so you're
office.
saying you spent that money, you had to spend that money last year, so
I
you put it in.
Put it
the
in
budget.
this year, yeah. I needed a file cabinet this year. I went a little treasure hunting and I found 2 file cabinets to bring into the office. We have a bookcase that's ready to go. So I'm hoping that can help just
Okay.
get us a little established.
Yeah. And I suppose if we put in, was that, did we do 850 this year at the special town meeting?
Well, it was
Oh,
the
it's
2,
1200,
so I think it was 600 and 650. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's it looks like it's brand new in FY '26, but.
Right,
But
but we
it's
added,
added
we
it
added
already.
it.
Part of the.
We added
Yeah.
it as part of this year, so.
Yeah, I don't have shredding in there. You know,
But
that potentially
Yeah.
could be professional services as well if we do it, but I do have that article for this year to use for the shredding that we're ready for.
So is everybody putting shredding in their own budgets?
No,
No,
it's just
No.
Okay.
as it comes up and, you know, they're running out of space in the
Yeah.
vault, so it's kind of
Yeah.
The
maybe
shredding,
As
once a
you
year.
Right,
come,
Yeah.
yeah.
the shredding in the building for the collection that they have by the copiers
Yep.
is in the treasurer's.
Correct.
And-
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just.
So they
There's a
do
big
that,
thing
yeah.
down
So-
there, we can put some documents in there, yeah.
Right, so that, you know, smaller amounts can be there and paid for on that regular basis. On that regular. Okay, and
And then the dues and membership was
Yeah.
just, I have a few dues, I have a few memberships that we never had before, like I had mentioned, the Central Mass Accounting, the MMA. I do a government, finance officers association. I try to stay involved with all those for updates and things.
And is the training 25, is that for your classes,
Correct.
for your certification?
Yeah, that's for the classes, whether it's the boot camps or, you know, it's accumulation of the boot camp. It would be going to the class. It's once a year in March. And any
So
other
once you're
classes.
certified, will that go down?
I would
Or
think
will
so.
that sit?
I think it would go down,
you
but
have
not, I would
requirements?
still, I would have requirements for CEUs,
Yeah,
but it probably wouldn't need to be that high.
okay.
Yeah, my guess. But then again, everything goes
Well,
up,
yeah,
so.
by that time, yeah.
Do you have to get so many CEUs every
There
year?
would be, yeah, you have continuing education that you have to fill it out. And the same for my PPO.
So the accounting other certification, is that for when you pass the test?
Correct, yes, up top, yes,
Okay.
yep. It also says there's no longevity on that one. That would
But-
just be for the certification.
I- Or isn't the longevity for?
The
for-
longevity below is
Alright.
for my,
For
for
yours.
Lee, yeah.
Yeah, for
Mhm,
Lee.
That's Lee. So that
Okay.
would be the certification. Yeah, it
Yeah.
hasn't, it's been in the budget for, I think, the last 3 or 4 years, but it
Mhm.
hasn't been used
Right.
because no one's.
Right, but once you get,
No one wants to take the test.
it's there, it becomes free cash
Correct.
after
closes out, yeah.
certification, if we don't use it, but if we take it away and then it shows up again.
But if we need to take, if we're nickel and diming
If
a
we're nickel and-
budget,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
that's something that we
That's-
could take away if you're not gonna take the test for another year.
correct.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a good point, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
But
That's a valid one.
normally you would wanna leave that there.
And I think you should take the test, so leave it there.
Thanks. Thank you guys for cheering me on. Oh, my sticky notes.
So you have, quotes kind of?
I
for
do.
People
Yeah,
for,
so I have 3, actually I
And
have
they're
2,
willing to
the
do it?
third person did not get back to us. But I did have a third person just get back to me that I had reached out to. She's not on there, but she would be in person, $175 an hour, so I didn't put her. That's a little out of our budget.
You get more hours from other people.
Yeah.
Have you've
I've
seen
seen
this?
it.
Do you guys
So
wanna see this?
175 is high?
Yeah.
Compared to what the other quotes I get.
Oh, compared to
Do
the
the
other,
other
I
one.
mean, 'cause, you know.
Well, yeah, 175.
Yeah, and if
depending.
I calculate what my estimate of hours, that I would get from the ones that I did receive to this, it would put us well over 60,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, just for consulting.
Wait, I'm gonna jump back because we had audit committee meeting
Sure.
yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So we haven't reached out to, Rossetti.
Rosalie, yeah.
Rossetti,
Okay.
sorry.
That's
TV show.
spaghetti.
But so you put 30,000 in here just based off.
I did, just based off of where we were at. Next year, we're close, if I'm tracking right now, we're close to needing a single audit again next year. it's all on federal funding,
Right.
so
Mhm.
it's an accumulation of all, and we're pretty close, so I put it in there just to secure it, just in case.
Until we get a number.
A number, correct.
Now, I know I reached out in December when I was trying to get a meeting going. And you mentioned about CPA in that letter.
Oh, yeah, so
Is CPA gonna drive up it's gonna drive up your workload?
it sure is,
Okay.
yeah. I
um,
mean, I'm not gonna hide that, and, what I'm being told,
Mhm.
you know, again, with the way, who I consult with outside, you know, the groups, the associations, and also Markham Sebas, who we work with currently, they're like, oh, no, it passed. Only because it's a huge workload on the accounting for the filing of
Mhm.
that is, I guess, atrocious,
Okay.
but we'll get there.
And will there be extra audit that they'll have to do? Do we
It will
have
be
to
part
put
of our audit,
So
it would be part of the audit, again, that might be something that would come up with Roselli's or whomever that you do
Yeah.
obtain a quote from,
I-
potentially they
So-
would have
Yeah, so far we've liked them, and so when we looked at the RFQ
Mhm.
or RFP,
Mhm.
it stated that there were 2 years at the end of the 3-year contract.
Oh, okay, for
that we
like
could-
extensions?
But I don't think we had a quote on them, so it's kind of
Oh,
like,
okay.
so.
But the RFP did say, you know, when you respond, just know, we're looking for someone for a 3-year quote and then optional
Okay.
2 more 1 years.
Oh, okay,
So, if,
okay.
So we will.
They didn't include an escalator for the.
It
No.
did not, it's kind of like, but that's why we're reaching out, trying to reach out to you or Katie and see if we can see the contract. So we only have the proposal
I
that you
have that
put
in my
together.
computer,
yeah,
So if we have that, we can see if
Yeah,
there's
I
something
didn't
built
bring
into
it
the
up, I did
contract.
that, yeah.
so
Yes,
yeah,
I
I think
have
that
that
was my
online.
action. To request a copy of the
Sure.
contract for Roselli
Yeah, I'll
and
send that
to
up after.
look for a letter, you know, that we can use as a template asking
Asking
for
for a new.
the 2-year quote.
Okay.
And that would be for FY 2025 and FY 2026.
Correct, because they're
Yeah.
doing 24 now.
Right.
Yes,
And they have started?
yes,
Okay.
yes, they've come, twice now. They'll be back, the 3rd week of March, I think, March 17th-ish, to finish. They'll finish
Good.
then, yeah.
Good.
They're really easy. They're really, I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to, but they're good.
Okay, sorry, I went a little
That's okay,
funny on it.
under the gun.
Okay, so that was quite a bit of information.
Is Lee union or not union?
Lee is human, yes.
Um, I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look at payroll to see
I'm
if there's any,
guessing
if
no.
there's any union reductions.
Yeah,
Yes, there is. So she's in union.
so then how do we account for things like FSA? Do we account for that? I'd have to look at it should be clarified.
I know not everybody put it in, I know the
Yes,
assessor put it in.
she opted out of that. Is that the 250?
Yeah.
Yes, no, we didn't do that. She doesn't do that.
Oh, you can opt out
I
of it?
believe so.
Okay,
'Cause it's a benefit. It's a benefit, benefits?
I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's not, I think it's
You can-
employee funded, so they don't
It's-
have to do it if they don't want to.
okay. All
Do
right.
you want me to read it, from the
Yeah.
language to you?
Yeah,
A flexible spending account option shall be offered to all eligible bargaining unit members. The town shall reimburse up to $250 each contract year to FSA eligible employees who contribute a minimum of $250 to an FSA account through the town's FSA vendor.
Yeah.
So they have to put in a minimum of 250 in order to get.
In order to
Gotcha.
get- yeah.
Yeah.
And while you
She
have that
must
open,
have chosen not.
what about, clothing allowance? She must not be
No, she doesn't
eligible.
get a.
There's only a certain list of folks that
Yeah,
get
it's
it.
only
She's
four.
not on
No.
that list.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I have this binder.
That's
It's all the
Lot of paper, yeah.
it's all the union contracts.
good, yeah.
Is there anything else on the accountant's budget? Okay. Laura, you've been quiet and I haven't reached out anything.
No, just that I think she's doing a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, and before we go to the water department, have you been working with them for their transfer?
So that's one, that I don't, I don't do a whole lot with the water budgeting and all that. I did have a discussion, with Dave today about the indirect, so we're gonna kind of work on that together a little. I kind of want to have a little input on them.
Mhm.
Just because there's been a lot of changes with this new year, so I want to make sure that we revisit that pretty good.
I don't think I have.
No, he is.
Right, and just for
I can get
others
it from
that
Katie.
haven't seen it before, the water department has their own budget generally. They will do their acquisition, but they use some of the town services and they do a transfer on a warrant article to transfer a certain amount of dollars to us for the accounting services, the payroll services, healthcare, and those types of charges.
Insurance.
And Katie's obviously sees the money come in and manages that. So I just wanted to ask about that. If we have it, we usually get it by about mid-March, I think.
Yeah, we had spoken about it. Dave's really good at, he has like a draft, he said he had a draft, but I said, well, I wanna sharpen our pencils and look at that a little
I
bit.
was gonna say now, this year, which will be FY20, did they add extra employees after the initial?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay,
I
is that
wouldn't
something
know.
we should look at, is that we look
All of
forward,
them,
but
yes.
then go back and see if there was anything, they hired extra people, there was
Maybe,
more.
yeah.
that
If I
needs to-
remember right, they did hire extra people,
Mhm.
when the plant came in. There were
Right.
new, things,
Right.
and,
So-
but I don't know that they've done it.
Mm.
They did it prior to the building being done so that those people could.
Right, but that is still in FY25, so the
Right.
money for FY25 transferred in May. If they had additional people come in and that wasn't in the calculation,
Correct.
there could be more money.
Yes, I think that in a few areas there may be that instance, because the building now with insurances, the vehicles that have been purchased, the equipment that's been purchased, that's all of those insurances are gonna go up. So that's why we discussed this morning. I really wanted to make sure that we get all those numbers from all those sources.
Right,
I'll need, Sabrina to help and Melissa's help to get all that formulated. What the costs are.
So you're saying the water department is not part of this, the
correct.
town budget that we're gonna,
You,
that we're working on?
that's right, yeah.
Okay.
They have their own budget and then we have this working relationship. They don't have to go out and get their own insurance. They
Right,
use the
right,
town's
right.
insurance. And so there's a transfer of dollars from there.
Right.
But those transfer dollars would, sort of determine whether we're, at budget or not. That infusion of money, those indirect, it's critical to.
Right,
balance
yeah,
the
it's
budget.
part of it. At the water transfer money, the excise tax, the cherry sheets.
Right,
Real estate taxes, everything that we have, the building funds.
Yeah.
And I know we got the answer back.
Yeah, it's an indirect,
From
it's for it's what
Yeah.
it costs us here in town
Yeah.
to
Town
To do
council
their-
services,
potentially, yeah,
anything like that that they need,
yeah.
that the town has.
Now, and with you here, and we saw the
Sure.
answer back from the building inspector. The software that they use and we make the payment, the payments go into the general fund and then you pay. Does there need to be a line item in his budget to pay it, or is it just a separate invoice comes from them on a monthly basis based on?
An invoice
Yes.
comes in for them based on
Mm.
the permits that come through.
Yeah.
I actually have a spreadsheet. I
Yeah.
have a spreadsheet for that.
Okay, yeah.
That I just developed yesterday and the day before with Janet, because Janet has all those numbers and she had them, I think, and kind of proposed them at the time when the budgets were happening, I think last year, because she knows about how much she brings in for, you know, roughly
Right.
on permits.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on the year, we can't predict the
Right.
but so she has the track of the last at least 3 years of what she's bringing in. And since we started, I think it was April of, oh gosh, look at me, 23 or 24, that they started the software, but it was just building. And then they added the electrical and the gas after that. So then we have those numbers, and then we have almost a full number after that of what we've been charged by the software. And it's where the receipts for permits come in. They, you know, everyone pulls a permit, then they pay, the monies go into the general fund. Then their budget out of the general fund pays for the service, and it's small amounts, 900s here, you know, 900 a month maybe, ish. So there, I know that there was some questions there about, you know,
it's just a matter of
budgeting.
budgeting
And yes, she
and
can,
CLI.
and so there, I think if you want it broken down next year, that would be clear. Oh, I thought it was up on the board, but that could work. And so you're seeing that a little clearer, and you can track it going forward. And I don't think you'll ever get a precise number again, because
You can't.
you can't.
No, you can't.
It's a
tell many people
fluctuating usage number. So
No, but just having a general number in the budget, it makes sense to have it in his budget.
yeah, we could do like a subcategory under professional services just to keep them separate. Keep an eye on it. That would be good.
Okay. That's
But I'll send you the spreadsheet. I'll share that as well.
Okay, and then I guess I have one last thing, and we haven't worked on it. It's just, you'll be getting a request. This year I want to do and take a look at all of the revolving accounts that we have.
Okay.
And so we'll go back and take a look at them. That's something we haven't done, is validate the revolving accounts.
Yeah, because you vote
as
their
we go through.
budgets in the
We vote them.
meetings, and then you want
Right.
to see them as the year goes on.
And then at annual town meeting, we go what the amounts are that they can appropriate out of there. So we just
We can do that.
take a look at them and visit them later in March. It's not part of the omnibus budget, but it's just something that I wanted to add as a regular part of
You
financial
can have all
review.
that work during your slow time. Then
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the budget.
After the omnibus budget and the budget something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I heard nothing, no other questions? I'm seeing shaking heads.
No, I'm good.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if the water department is separate, do we need to go over that still?
It's gonna be on the warrant, so we're gonna see an article that says transfer this much from, water receipt, from the water enterprise fund, transferred into our general fund. So it'll be a warrant article, but I was hoping that he would have a number and something to present us, but it's obviously working on it, but Katie doesn't have that.
Okay.
But it's something I've gone over some of the old reports. I have seen past reports where their capital is put into the capital plan and said it's being paid from water enterprise receipts. So that's something too, is new equipment's coming in. Now, I know a lot of the equipment that's been recently purchased was part of the, it wasn't a special, it was capital equipment. It's adding to our insurance, but it was purchased with some of the bonds and things that they were getting for the treatment plant.
That's our,
So it's kind of like, so it wasn't coming through, but it
Right.
is that capital equipment. If they need to replace them and update them in the future.
I guess so we don't need to sit here and go through their budget.
No, it's been.
Because they handle that and it doesn't affect the
It doesn't affect our omnibus budget or our general funds, because their enterprise money is in revenue from the water takers. So it's a subsection of them. they are part of the town, and we like to include them. And one of these days, one of our meetings will be in the new facility. It's something we have offered up before it was built, that, we can use the facility, take a tour, get a tour. And
Don't they have meeting rooms in there?
they have
they
meeting
do.
rooms, and that's why he's offered the meeting room, so finance committee will take advantage of that. And
Close to home.
meet in the, yeah, close to home. Meet in the hut.
Meet in the house.
So when we get something, we'll
Tea cans, so
set that up. Yeah, it's kind of like that could be the
Yeah.
TCM will have to do what we know. We'll work on logistics.
Hmm.
And that, okay, so with the water department not here, the next item on the agenda was to begin the outline for the budget summit for March 1st. So Saturday, March 1st. We have a schedule. Dave, I don't know if you've got a copy of it. I don't.
A copy of the outline?
The outline.
Oh. Well, 9 o'clock, okay, I
Yeah.
thought we were starting at 10, but, okay.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock,
I
up an
can,
hour early.
yeah,
and we're not sure how long it'll be.
right, no, I'm sure it won't be over at 12 PM or 2 PM,
Hmm.
whatever. Beyond, if I'm
Yeah,
up
I was
by
gonna
4,
say, so-
I'll count myself up.
But
We've
they,
always gotten out by about 2.
2:30.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Okay.
yeah, attendance sort of starts to dwindle. People have things to do.
Last year was 12:43.
Ah.
Oh, yeah, so.
I have the minutes for last year. And it gives me a good idea of the order of
Mhm.
how,
Mhm.
certainly for general government, because there's so many departments in there. Police and fire are pretty obvious. But at the 10 AM slot, that's basically everyone else.
Right.
Who's first on that?
Fire and
Fire
police.
and police.
Mhm. So we're trying to hold them, then general government, everybody except the treasurer, town clerk. Some of these may go quick because we're gonna do the,
I see.
and then highways and streets, human services,
That's the only one.
is that,
Do you have a list of who went first and second and so forth from last year in the
Yeah,
minutes?
I do.
yeah, I think we generally just went down each section, generally, we started, or maybe we left Board of Selectmen till the end.
Board of Selectmen.
We were at the end.
Yeah, we were toward the end.
So who notifies each department where in the pecking order they are?
We should.
You mean beforehand?
Yes.
I mean, they probably have a general slot, so, we will certainly try to give them a precise time, but things can shift. So, we can talk about maybe the order that we want to go in. But some of them, like Don says, it's gonna be very quick, so, they're in and out in 5-10 minutes. But, we can give folks a general idea of when they would probably go up, so they're not,
Well, just if you said that you're gonna go in that line, if you send out an email saying, this is the order in which the budget summit will take place. So then they can decide however long they want to stay there. I'm just thinking, let them see the procession, if you will, of the people that day. And so maybe they have no interest in hearing, before them, and they might come an hour into the meeting or whatever. I just don't want somebody to say, oh, I didn't know that.
So who's sending, are you asking, Lori, who's sending out the schedule? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, is it the TA or is it the finance?
I think it's us.
I can do it. So if we wanna talk about it now, then we can sort of, you know, at least generally.
I don't want to make it a big deal, you know, I just want each department that you expect, well, just each department, because we may not expect somebody to come and we shouldn't be determining that. So each department that has a budget that they would be presenting or that we go over, that they get an email stating this is the program for the budget, for the summit on March 1st. That's all, nothing involved,
Yep.
but getting it to every person.
So Nelson will send it out.
Yeah, I'll send it out. Instead of individual emails to individual departments, I'm just gonna send one email to everyone and it's gonna list everything out all at once, so.
Yeah,
don't
I
have to
think
send
that's
out
fair.
multiple emails.
That's great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if there was some way to use the omnibus and get there with the list and maybe use that in set times.
Sabrina wants to.
Yes.
The question may come up who falls under general government.
Mhm. Yep.
Need to put that down.
Right, and again, it within the omnibus, the general, it has headers and so I can work with I'll get you the list of what's in each.
Okay.
I started carving it out too,
Mhm.
because sometimes it's not so obvious to me, like human services, you know, I could kind of generally tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Or
It's like, yeah.
culture and recreation, apparently libraries under that. So
Right.
I was like, okay, you know.
Yep, exactly, the big sections and the little pieces underneath.
Libraries, yeah.
But seeing the minutes from last year, you know, this schedule that I proposed, it's pretty on point.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I tell you 10 a.m. and it ends up being 10:15, you know, I think that's a reasonable shift.
Yeah, that's fine.
But you know, if you're out,
We have to be there all day, so.
right, but you know, if they're scheduled to go at 11 and we're a little ahead of schedule, you know, I would hope, you know, they will be here a little bit earlier, just to account for that, so.
Well, you might mention that in the email that you send out.
I will, yep, just,
Yeah, we're gonna do the best we can.
correct, but, you know, things run behind or we go a little bit faster, you know, so, to, you know, just be prepared for that.
Yeah. And then these are the start times, so hopefully we're done by the 12th.
So can we have a draft of the omnibus budget on Monday?
Yep, I've already plopped something into SharePoint and I can share it with you and Don and whoever else wants to.
Yeah.
Get it up for the.
Sabrina has a question.
Just for Dawn.
Mhm.
Do you want to invite all the presenting ones? The presenting department, or anything that was clear through these meetings?
There may be, so we'll maybe do that next Thursday's meeting, is do a final, if we have the list, we can go through. And if we do have somebody this spring, we can, you know.
So invite everybody and then.
And we can still invite,
the
yeah.
people that don't need to.
Yeah, if we find there's none, there was always that little bit. You know, there was an item here or there, and they can see it in the final form over in the room. So that might be good for them to see the review and see how it's put and identify if they think we missed something that should be in their budget.
So the recommendation is for.
I think it's for, yeah, I think the recommendation would be there because that's a double check for them, to make sure that nothing is missing from the omnibus presentation that's gonna be put into town meeting. Sorry.
So here's my question then. If in fact, what are we doing if in fact a override vote fails, either on March 10th or on April 27th or whatever the date is, 28th? Are we going to wait until after town meeting on the 10th of March to say to people, okay, so we need to have a budget for what you're going to remove? Or is the Board of Selectmen going to look at it and say, this is what's going?
Last year around this time, when this was, sort of the same situation, in the weeks afterwards, did Eric, I think he probably asked for like a 10% cut from all departments.
There was an email that went out asking for 10%.
Was that on just the expenses side or was that on the personnel side as well?
Where if they can cut expenses, is one thing. It's been level funded for 2 years in a row, so it's that's kind of hard to get something out of that, I would think. But
And I think we're going to need more than 10%.
I think so too. That's what I'm really concerned about. Looking at the numbers, insurance, the trash contract, only part of it's being covered through the pay-as-you-throw revenue. I think personnel and most expenses, to your point earlier, have been, everyone's been really diligent about keeping it under control. But insurance, I don't really have control over that. And, and the trash contract is such a large expense that, we're kind of in the same place as we were last year. I wasn't here then, but I'm almost certain that it was brought up, and it's the same problem we're facing again. So, yeah, I worry. I'm not sure if 10% is going to get us to the number that we need.
As far as trash goes, I am all for charging a fee in addition to the purple bags, because we will have a fee charging structure in place because of CPA. And that same structure should work for charging a fee for trash. And that is one thing that we can do legally as far as that goes.
Why can't we just have everybody get their own trash?
We could do that. It will be more expensive.
Well, then, what if we opened it up to other vendors and they can price competition, and maybe it'll be $30 instead of
then
$40?
you need to talk to the Board of Health and ask them to go out with an RFP, which they have not done in many years.
Oh, they don't go out with an RFP?
No, you don't have to for trash. If you have a vendor you like, you can continue to use them. You don't have to do an RFP. The last RFP was probably around 2017. Don't quote me on that, but it has certainly not been within the past 6 years.
And I did ask the question. I did ask the question of the Board of Health and got the answer that yes, they did. I didn't ask for proof, but yes, they did, and they only got the one back.
That was in around 2017, 2018.
no, there was
No, I thought it was recent.
It was recent, because I remember a letter from Wind Waste that really didn't say anything other than came back after the period and just.
Give me a date on that, because I was on the Board of
came from
Selectmen and I don't
Chris.
remember
Yeah,
seeing
it
that.
was-
Well, I'll find out. I'm meeting with them at 5:45 on Monday as liaison.
What would it do if we did that? I mean, how would that affect the budget?
Trash, so Lunenburg went out to bid last summer, and Shaw's bid on it, and then some of the bigger companies like
Like
waste management.
Yeah.
And I think E.L. Harvey's another one, so it was
Yeah,
three.
yeah.
And, waste management and E.L. Harvey were much more expensive than Shaw's.
So,
You
what
know.
did that mean? So if I wanted to use waste management, for example, they won't come and pick my trash up because I call them.
Well, they're a private company, so if they don't want to service
They
you,
say they don't service towns.
then they don't. But, what I'm getting at is, they went out to bid and, Shaw's was the lowest bidder. And, Lunenburg is actually more centrally located than we are. We're a little bit further north, so I think, there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah, I get
You
that,
know.
but I'm just saying, if you're gonna buy purple bags, for example, I've already used 3 this week for my trash pickup because of certain things. But if you put a fee on top of it, so if I'm paying $17 every other week, so I'm paying 36 for my bags, and then the fee, that's gonna be more than getting trash from Shaw's at 45.
Then
mean,
we should all just do our own private pickup, which is another option.
And
Right,
if we do that.
no more trash.
No more trash, it takes it
No
off
more
the
trash
list.
pickup. I mean, if the override does not go and we don't have enough money to carry the town, trash is almost $1 million. So it's gone.
Well, okay, so it's gone, it's better than
Is there any
fighting
laws
about it for
that
another
said
whole
that you
year?
have?
It's up to the
if you don't
town.
If you don't
Yeah.
have a landfill for people to use, do you have to have trash pickup? Any
No,
town.
you can
can go
probably
to the-
throw it out
You
on
can
the,
go to
in the
recycling
woods.
place.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens now.
Back to the old days.
I mean, that's
$1
illegal
million,
dump.
I
That's-
think
No,
we
that's
should
Of course it
have
is.
that.
There are,
No,
Of course it
I-
is.
penalties for that.
I,
But they
a
have a
lot of places
landfill.
don't.
They have a landfill.
That's what I'm saying. Any town that I've lived in that didn't have trash pickup always had a dump. We
Right.
don't have a dump.
But we have
Or a
recycling.
transfer station. It's,
Oh, I see. what
But
you
you can't put your trash
Right,
there.
right, right.
where
No, you
would
can't,
also
because that's
dump.
closed.
mean. Right.
It was
So
a dump.
So I say just get
That's-
rid of the trash and have everybody get
That's
theirs.
only what I'm saying. Legally, do you have to, if you don't do trash pickup, do you have to have like a landfill?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
I don't
so.
know.
Okay.
I don't know the legality.
We need to look it up. I have been thinking about that too, because that option has been thrown around, getting rid of trash altogether.
$1 million, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not quite $1 million, but it's about 800.
But that's,
That's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot of money. Well, say if that's off the plate, how does that, what,
If that's off the plate, we are gonna have to add back in municipal pickup for the buildings here.
Oh, yeah.
We will have to do that.
I mean, but
yeah, but that's
that,
not gonna be 800,000.
no,
Oh, no,
it's
no,
not even.
Right.
10,000.
I think it's 147 in the budget that they showed for municipal.
100, what'd you say?
For the municipal, 147. I don't know why I remember that figure.
I thought it was a difference between 780,000 and 790,000 on the overall.
Oh, 20,000? Maybe it was 14,700?
It was a very reasonable amount. It was somewhere
Yeah.
around like $12,000 to $15,000 a year.
But that might change if we're not doing,
Oh,
Full
yeah,
town.
when they're doing it, went right.
Oh, the penalty,
yeah.
but it won't be close to 800,000.
No, oh, no.
No, but
So
then
maybe
For just
that's,
municipal,
maybe
for
that's
just
an
the
option
building.
that should be
Yeah.
sent out there. I mean,
Well, who was telling me that where they lived, everybody had their own private pickup and they went with different companies. So they had trash pickups like every day.
Mhm.
And then the roads started deteriorating.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Well, that
something-
is what
Well,
happens.
Right,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not
I mean,
getting-
And
that's-
I mean,
Well,
I've
we
lived
had
in
a
other
5-year plan
places
for
where
roads.
private pickup was what you had.
Just
I think
everywhere.
many years ago, as you mentioned waste management, Shaw's wasn't the first company for the town.
No, it
They've
wasn't.
done it for a long time. And I want to say it was Waste Management that we had before and went out to RFP, and then we got Shaw's who ended up being better. than who we had before. So that's what I remember.
I agree with that, Lori.
Well, I think we should put that up to the people because 800,000 versus 45 a month. What's 45 times 12?
No, it would be, well, 10 a month and then whatever you use in purple bags. I use a purple bag every other week.
I do too. Every other, I use one purple bag every other week.
I use more.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
everybody- I mean,
yeah,
you know,
everybody's different.
Yeah,
Everybody's different. Once a month.
And I'll tell you, the other thing that I think is annoying is all get out is remembering to buy them.
Oh, yeah, that's the annoying part,
You can
yes.
buy them through Hannaford to go. They put them right in your order
Yeah.
and charge you, of course, but
Well, yeah.
but you can do, if you do Hannaford to go, it's not a problem.
I know,
Just-
but I go to Market Basket and then
Yeah,
that's my
They don't
problem.
have it,
No,
yeah.
they don't have them, so I go
Yeah.
to Market Basket. And I'm with you. I have
Yeah,
to
no,
think
it's
about
Okay,
it.
are we doing anything else to keep us on?
Not today.
We are adjourning.
Isn't the library here?
No,
No.
we already did the
Yeah.
library.
No. Sabrina has, we have an observer who's knitting socks. Are those
Okay.
socks?
Um,
Mittens.
I don't think do we want the departments to prepare a cut? We don't know a percentage yet, so.
Well, they should have something in mind, I think.
Okay, so start
I
to
mean,
think about
the
it.
reality, let's be proactive rather than reactive.
I think that it's gonna be budget meetings after,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if we don't get the, we have to, before we go to the vote on April 28th, we have to know what the budget is if the override passes and what the budget is if it doesn't pass.
Right.
And we should be able to address that
I agree.
at
1,000%.
the
Yep, absolutely.
special town meeting on March 10th.
Oh, wait,
Because that was the big mistake. We don't have to say exactly, but we can say roads will not be paved. There will be a 20%, across the board cut in services, or whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We haven't made any decisions on that.
Right, but I do think the school override, there's gonna be, another override.
you mean after the March one?
Well, as I mentioned before, with trash, insurance going up, I think just on that side, it's not gonna.
Well, that's why the omnibus, we need to have a number that
Right, you need to see
I
all of
don't
it together.
see doing 2 override votes.
We've already done 2, didn't we?
Well, for last fiscal year.
But we're together, we're together.
No, there was
No,
only
there was-
we voted twice on the vote that
Oh, okay.
happened at March. At town meeting, there was a voice vote that said, yes, we want to have an override. Then we put it on the annual town meeting and it failed. And then we were in the 60-day window, so there was another vote that could be posted and another election done. So that, and it was voted down a second time.
Right.
So as much as we voted down 2, it was really the same override, just different amount.
So is this gonna be a different one or is this the same one?
Well, we have to
New
look at,
fiscal year.
is it, yeah.
Because this is the FY 26 that
This
you're
would be
asking for the
FY.
override for everybody.
Right, yeah.
So if they say no, then it goes to April?
If
Vote?
If the vote on March 10th fails, then
Yep.
there is nothing on the ballot in
In
April.
April.
And we have to cut the budget to accommodate the
Right.
school budget amount.
Without a vote, without a town vote.
Without a town vote.
Town vote already happened.
Yeah,
No,
If
I mean,
if
they don't come.
an override requires a town meeting vote and a ballot vote.
Okay,
And so if the town meeting vote on March 10th says, we don't want an override,
okay.
then it's clear cut that what we have to do is cut the budget to make it fit the school budget. Because the school budget is not going to come in at 2.5%.
I thought that was the rule.
It's a rule for the town overall.
Right.
Including school budget, but it is not a
Right.
rule for the school. The school could increase it 50% if they wanted. And we, the town, would need to absorb that and not raise taxes more than 2.5%.
Without an override.
It's the law of the land.
So if they say no in March, if the town says, no, we don't want the override, then we have to go back to the drawing board and cut.
Yes,
Is that the Board of Selectmen's role, or is that FinCom and the Board of Selectmen?
final budget is the Board of Selectmen's budget. But certainly we would want input from
Yes, of
departments.
course.
and FinCom.
Of course.
So, yeah,
And we may end up talking to every department again.
I think we would have to, because
So-
that's where we can do the cuts.
Yeah, but I, you
But
know, I am
hopefully
concerned
not.
because, you know, that 250,000 for the pavement management, it's a big number.
Yeah, but it's gonna go away. I mean, that was discussed tonight. That was unrealistic.
There's just no way.
I
that we
mean,
can
of
do
course,
it.
we need it, but we're not gonna get it.
Well, I mean, it's been requested now, so it's in the, it's
Yeah.
in my,
So it's in
my-
your calculation.
Yeah.
I would
Two
roll it,
fifty and 800
Yeah.
is $1 million. There you go. It's $1 million.
and so you roll it into the override.
Right.
Right,
But if you don't-
exactly.
Good job.
Yeah.
And the override wording, because we have a thing that needs to be posted for that, right?
yeah, so that, because that number I quoted you earlier, the 940 and change, that was just for the
The
school
difference between
Right.
2.5%.
Yeah, right.
Right.
If you're talking about the rest of the expenses, the pavement management, the insurance, the trash, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that,
That's another 400,000 for trash, another 250 for pavement
and
management,
another 100 for insurance.
insurance,
That's,
double, almost.
So all those things, the
Okay.
school, insurance, salaries, basically, everything goes up. So when in the override, the state allows the 2.5. We try to get the 2.5 so that we can function with all the other things besides the school. Hopefully. If we don't, I mean, you could be looking at an override every year. And some communities do vote an override every year because the expenses go up that much.
we have sort of eked by for many years, you know, I feel like,
We did.
we've done what we can with what we have over the last, I would say, 15 years or so. While the school budget has become more and more of the overall budget. And, you know, we're not paying employees as much, you know, employees are not getting, a lot of them are fractional or part-time. You know, roads aren't being paved, you know, so, you know, I would say other services have suffered as a result of it. And we're kind of at the point where we really do need, a reset. And I feel like that reset is, an override is the answer.
And the last 3 years have been the worst because, in particular, the last 2 where the state and federal have not come through with the regional funding that they were supposed to give in our contract for being a regional school district. That's what has really strangled us mostly. The last couple of years, insurance skyrocketed. And I know that we're paying for a lot of other things that the government wants to hand out, and that's what it is. But we're just a small peon here paying the taxes for them to do whatever they want. And we don't have a lot of control. I mean, hopefully, I'd like to think it changes, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think we have to think outside the box. We gotta put our thinking caps on it.
Well, we could do it.
Okay.
DPW, Department of Public Works, and put the highway, cemetery and parks, facilities all together. Look at what the structure would be, the people that cut the grass in the summer could plow the roads in the winter. Could we, it would mean changing the structure of things.
I think we have to think like that, Veronica, I really do.
Well,
I
it was
mean,
mentioned years ago, but nothing ever transpired.
Right.
Yeah, well,
there
there
was
was
a study on
Study, it was not
2016,
recommended.
2017.
Yeah.
It was never taken up. It wasn't that it wasn't recommended. It was
Right,
recommended.
exactly.
Yes.
It was
What do you mean?
recommended.
PLS, but not the.
The select
committee
board
from the
offered,
town.
the committee, I don't even know that they were ever asked.
So it's like a consolidation of the.
Right.
of the
Is
services.
it a-
Yes.
Is that consolidation of leadership and people being let go and there's a single leader?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, I mean, but
yeah, it would,
Not just that,
but that is gonna
I
be the
get it.
result
Yeah,
without an override. People will be let go.
well, that's the reality.
That hours will be cut.
Mhm.
And where do we get a million plus? A million really, but 971 is what we absolutely have to have.
But that's on the
For
school side, but when you add in on the rest of the town, I'm looking.
Take out trash.
Take out trash,
It's,
take out the
you're
pavement,
you're at 1.2.
you're talking about the
Yeah,
insurance. I
it's
mean, is there any-
1.2. What we need really is 1.2.
Well, that's on the
That's on the town.
town side.
We need 1.2 on the town side,
Yeah, the pavement management, the trash, and the insurance.
but if we take out the pavement management and
And
the
trash.
trash, it's just the insurance.
Yeah, that's 150 or so.
That's 150. So if
we
we
might be
had,
able to squeak, we might be able to
we can
trim
manage that.
and do that. But
Yeah,
but I couldn't accommodate all this.
I would go back to the school and do a 2%, not a 2.5. Therefore, we have a little bit of leeway between the budget that we budget for and the budget that they request. And those funds could go to the other things in the town.
Okay, I have a question. So looking at the 5-year plan that we don't have, if we continue doing this, the 2.5 to 2.5, and letting the school rise, what happens like in 5 years?
Well, part of the reason that the school is rising is because of, I never remember the law, but it's for gateway cities. So the schools
Correct.
like Fitchburg
They get
and
more
Worcester,
money. We get
all
left
the
out.
big population areas are getting a lot more funding for their schools. They're not getting 2.5% or 1.5% or whatever we've been getting. They are getting 30% increases, 25%
So
increases.
it's discriminating against the smaller, they're saying
And,
that.
and the thing is, if you go to the legislature, of course, the larger schools are not gonna, the larger districts
Gotcha.
are
Vote.
not
The vote.
gonna vote. Their representatives aren't gonna vote to decrease the funding that
Their
they're
money.
getting.
Right.
But there is an act that I can't remember the name of that, but it's been mentioned at all the meetings that the school committee has had.
Student opportunity.
That is it, SOC, Student Opportunity Act, or it's SOC. And it's, I think it has one more year. And after that, perhaps it won't help for FY 26, but for FY 27, perhaps the funding, the work that Margaret and her colleagues are doing in that project 211 could be successful for that next year. But we, the small towns and the small regional districts, will never have enough legislatures to outvote the large population areas that have more representation.
That's why we have to tell them to go to hell.
but
that
Well,
doesn't
there's
help.
always
I mean,
been
we can-
but
within
the other
but it's
thing
not
is-
gonna get you what you want.
But
There's
our
been talks about-
legislatures
Well, Nelson,
can
there's 62
petition
towns that have done it.
for emergency
There's
funding.
62 towns, the whole South Shore.
I
got
worked
rid
for the
of their
federal
regional
government
schools.
contracting for
Not for high
20
school,
plus
but
years.
for
They
local.
can move money
And they have
any
this
way
thing
they
called
want. They can
supervisors
provide funding.
union.
Sometimes
And
they
share
can
the
and sometimes they
superintendent.
can't.
They,
But they have
Um,
removed
it
themselves from the
depends.
regional schools, so
it
they're not.
depends on
in
what
this
they
level.
want and
But-
which
but it's-
representatives.
It's not up to the finance committee or select.
No, I get
to-
that,
Or
yeah.
even me to pull us out of the regional.
No,
district.
I'm not saying to pull us out. I'm saying that we should be looking into that because 62 towns have done it already. The entire practically South Shore and better towns in the North Shore have done it, and Deerfield did it, and other western towns. So it's a
That were
trend.
regional?
Yeah, they were
Were
regional.
regional before and they got out?
Yes, and I think we should be looking at that.
I've been
It is
asking the question since,
Well, when you ask the question, when I ask the question, everyone says two things. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It takes too long and it's gonna be too expensive to time.
Well,
But don't
both of
talk to me
those
like that
things-
until you have evidence of that. I wanna
Then
see the
bring it to
facts.
us.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I
but-
mean, it is a process. It
I
takes
get it,
time,
everything
and it
is.
does cost money.
Well, okay, so, but let's
And
not
so
look
find
into it
out
then and let's
exactly
just keep
what
going
the-
with the 2.5 that we can't
You're,
afford.
you are free to look into it.
Well, I'm saying that I would like to, but I would, well,
I mean.
Where would you go to look for it? Where would?
I would go
state-
down to,
state-
I'd take myself down to the Cape this summer and talk to those people when it's sunny and nice.
okay,
all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
we're
well,
now
where-
at the close of the joint meeting. And I would like to announce that our next meeting, I have no correspondence. Our next meeting is February 5th and 27th, and then the budget summit Saturday, March 1st, starting at 9.
Can I ask, is our meeting at 6 o'clock, or does the select board have a meeting at 5:45 on the 25th?
Think you have a 5:45.
We have a 5:45 with the school committee. And Lori, that's why I wanted to discuss, you said you were gonna talk to the-
I didn't have 5:45 on my agenda, so I told them at the Board of Health that I would be down speaking with Christian. Do I need to change that?
Yes, you would have to be earlier, correct? Because at 5:45, we have a joint meeting with the school committee.
On the
Okay.
25th.
I will try to change that to 5 or 5:30, and I don't know, I think I have one thing after another, because I have assessors also at 4:30. So I'll see what else I have. So,
But we do need you at 5:45 for a quorum,
Okay.
Lori, to
okay,
appoint a school committee member.
okay. Do you think that's gonna take 15 minutes? Or, it doesn't matter, you already posted? Are we posted for that?
Yes.
We posted, yes.
Okay, 5:45. All right. So I'll entertain a motion for this board to adjourn at 5:27 PM.
At 8:27
Oh,
PM.
yeah.
On
Yeah.
here.
Okay, 8:27. All right, that's late enough. Thank you very much.
We adjourn at 8:27.
And I second that. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. Thank you very much.
And I will entertain a motion to adjourn the joint meeting and
I make a motion to join the joint meeting at 8:27.
I'll second it.
okay, motion and second, roll call vote.
Joan DeLuca, yes.
David Walker, yes.
John Kingsbury,
Yes. Carol Hofstas,
Mary
yes.
Jane Churchwell, yes.
unanimous.
Mary Jo.